and then we shall begin. Happy Wednesday. Sup, ladies and gentlemen, ReAccolonn here, and welcome back to each and one of you. Mr. Smokin', good morning to you. How you doing, brother? If you're watching this over on YouTube, please remember to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and also click the link in the description down below. It's always better when you're watching it live. I almost forgot that there is actually something I have to do that I completely forgot about. Mr. Smokin', how's life, bro? Okay, I do need to do this, sure. Have you heard the latest news about your favorite dumpster fire company yet? What's the latest news? What exactly is the latest news? Alright. You're just chilling? That's good to know. But yeah, what is this news? Is it like major news or just, you know, sort of whatever, you know? Looks like Blizzard has been formally accused of witness tampering and intimidation in a complaint filed with the National Labor Review Board. I think I can link the article since I am a subscriber if you want to read it. I do want to read it. Please send that shit to me. Yeah, it'd be interesting to go through it and see. I wouldn't put it past them. I mean, that company have shown that they are they're pretty much beyond redemption when it comes to these issues. My erratic mind, how you doing, brother? All right, we're good to go. We're good. Okay, everything's set up. Well, hopefully. Let's do this. C-Pops, how you doing, brother? All right, we should be good. We should be good. We should be good to chill. We've got a lot of shit planned for today. A serious amount of stuff planned for today. Mikimoto, how you doing, brother? Oh, from Kotaku. I fucking hate Kotaku, but yeah, sure. All right, we'll take a look at that in a minute. Ascension, how you doing, bro? Yeah, it seems like every week there's something new coming out about Blizzard Entertainment. Every week there's a new. Oh my god. Rebels and I were talking the other day about how Blizzard had gone so long without screwing the pooch. Elodie, how you doing, bro? I mean, the fact of the matter is, they're obviously trying to get ahead of things, but also in the same vein trying to protect themselves, right? Which at this point, one must at some point just go, you know what? We did fuck up, and there really is no way to protect ourselves from this. Alec, thank you for the first time chat, dude. Really appreciate that. How you doing? Just sat an exam and went poorly. Now chilling, playing Classic and listening to lore. Alec, happy to have you here. I'm so sorry that it went badly. I know the feeling. Used to be what happened to me with every fucking exam. I'd walk out and I'd go, well, this is a dumpster fire. Jesus. This is if I passed this, it'd be a miracle. Usually passed, but fucking barely. Alex, how you doing, brother? Literally every exam? Yep. Because I never studied. Well, I actually knew before I even went to go fucking take the exam that I'm probably going to fail this one. Because I don't study enough, and then I get to the exam and I'm like, yeah, I don't remember shit here. Stevie, how you doing, bro? I was lucky in that I usually had enough knowledge on a topic that I could pass the exam. Like, barely pass the exam, but still pass it. Mainly because I remember very well. So I would sit in class and I would pay attention to what the lecturer had to say. And then I get into the exam and there's a question. And I'm like, wait, I remember the lecturer talking about this. And then I just think back to when the lecturer discussed it. And I'm like, okay, I'll just write down whatever the fuck the lecturer said that day about this topic. There was one class, though, that I couldn't do this in because the lecturer never discussed anything in class that had anything to do with the actual fucking exam or the actual studying. Like, this was theater studies, right? And in theater studies, there's like a whole bunch of fucking theory around, you know, how theater got started and all of the rules around theater. But the lecturer never discussed those rules and things in class. Instead, it was my favorite class in the whole fucking, in the whole course. But every class you would go sit down in theater studies And for 2 hours, he would take you on this journey through different time periods of theater. You know, like fucking slides and video and pictures and just crazy shit on like ancient Greek theater and theater even before the Greeks. And, you know, so you'd get like, you'd get a history lesson, so to speak, of theater, which was really cool. But none of that helped you in the exam, because when you get into the exam, you have to know the theory. I say, shit. So for that, I had to study a little bit, but still not enough to actually get crazy marks. Lil Moonsback, how you doing? Prince of Milena, how you doing? Lodi, how you doing, brother? I missed all last week's streams trying to prepare for a new job. Lodi, what's your new job? It seems like every time they start to look like they might be doing better, another shoe like this drops. They're running out of shoes to fucking let drop. But I also feel like at this point, it doesn't really matter. ReAccolonn, how you doing, bro? Doomhammer, I am very good. My eye is fine again. I can see again. It's not fucking blurry or anything, so I'm good. Finally some time off. ReAccolonn, nice. Sounds like he was interesting, but not practically helpful. No, wasn't helpful at all. But he was my favorite fucking lecturer in the whole in my whole course. His name was Mr. Rene Trudeau, right? That was his name. Biggest fairy you'll ever meet in your life. Like the gayest gay man you've ever seen in your life. Like proper. He may as well have had a sign around his neck saying that he's gay. But he got his degree, and then he quit his job as a lecturer, and he became an air hostess or air host. I don't know, what is a male air host? Is it air host? He became an air host, and he did that for 22 years because it allowed him to travel the world. And then whenever he went to a specific like country, he would go to all of the museums and see all of the fucking see all of the theater stuff, and he literally had video that he took himself of places like the amphitheaters, and it was awesome. He was just the funniest guy. Like every morning when I would get to class completely hungover and still a little drunk, he would have a coffee ready for me as well as cigarettes. So we just sit on the bench, drink coffee together, smoke, and just hang out before class. He was the greatest teacher you could ever fucking meet. Oh, recent, I bought Boost in Final Fantasy 14, and I'm also looking for a Final Fantasy 14 store mount to buy. Why did you buy a Boost, Zig6? Yeah, he may have been a hostess. If you do, don't. Just take the time to figure out the class and look into all the things you skipped in the duty finder. I would say buying a boost in Final Fantasy is like literally the worst thing you can do. You are wasting your game by buying boosts. You have just, in my opinion, ruined the game for yourself. Barracuda, how you doing, bro? And I don't mind that you want to buy a mount. I mean, go for it. If you want to support a cash shop, you're welcome to. I'll never, but you know, you're welcome to it, Greco. But I'm not going to shame him for it. No, I don't think he deserves shame for it. I think he deserves pity. I genuinely believe that it's you're. I mean, it's like actively playing something like The Witcher 3, but before you play it, you watch an entire playthrough of it. It's like, I mean, why would you do that, right? You're just spoiling the story for yourself. Luna Vira, how you doing? It's been a while since we've seen you. How's school going, Luna? I feel like that was bait. Dr. Steampunk, why? But buy anything for Final Fantasy Store, it's going to be that Steampunk Transformer. You're alive, wow. Coming in here with that positivity that we all know and love. It's like playing Witcher expansions and skipping main game. True, I would say it's horrible because, yeah, you have to experience Final Fantasy. You have to experience it first time. If you buy a skip or a boost in the game, you are effectively ruining your own ability to enjoy it. Apocalypse, how you doing, bro? I mean, for an hour and a bit? Why only an hour? grabbing a habit of dodging a day of school each week, apparently. That's fine. I had a very specific rule in college. You were allowed to miss up to 3 weeks, 21 days of classes. Like, you were allowed to miss 21 days of classes if you, like, got sick or anything like that happened to you. And I took all 21 days every single year that I was in college. Like, I would not miss a day. And then one day, my one of the head professor or whatever they're called in English called me in, and they were like, "Excuse me, you do realize that you're missing a hell of a lot of days?" And I said, "No, I'm not. I am entitled to 3 weeks vacation. It's in the rules." And she's like, "It's not vacation. It's 3 weeks of sick leave if you're sick." And I said, no, it's 21 days that I'm allowed to miss class. That's vacation. I'm taking my 21 days vacation. And she just sat there and she started laughing. She was like, I mean, the rules don't state that you have to be sick. It just says that if you want to write exams, you can't have missed more than 21 days of class. And I never missed more than 21 days of class. I was there for most of it, but I took my fucking 3 weeks off every single year. Never missed a fucking 21 days. Just feel like a loaded question to get a response. Nothing wrong with it. Just found it funny. You mean Zigzags? Okay, whatever. But I'm now playing the Red Mage and an Arcanist, which I did not boost, so I didn't miss anything. I think I just wasted some money. Hey, as long as you're not missing the story, I think that's good. Because scamming the system, you have to, right? When I read in the rules of college that you're not allowed to miss more than 21 days in order to write exams, I took that as, all right, you are allowed 21 days of holiday. Of course, you don't need it in South Africa because you have 3 months of class and then you have 3 weeks of holiday, almost 4 weeks of holiday. Then you have another 2.5 months of class and then you have almost a month and a half of holiday. That's winter holidays. And then you have like a month and a half, and then you have 10 days holidays, and then you have another month and a half, and I think then you have almost 2 months holiday or some shit like that. I didn't really count the months, but like December holiday, summer holiday is like the biggest one for us. That's like 2.5 months that you're off. But in South Africa, school is also divvied up like that. So when you're just in normal school, like primary school or high school, the entire year is sort of drawn up into quarters. So you have 3 months school, and then you have like almost a month off. Winter holiday is usually the second longest, so that would be almost a month off. And then December holidays is usually like a month and a half to 2 months off. But you have to get, like, kids in South Africa have to get 4 holidays in a year, varying lengths, but you must have 4 holidays in a year. I've loved a schedule like that back when I was in school. When do you think the next BlizzCon going to be, where they can give the most sincerest apology to their fans? The next BlizzCon is going to be where they no longer have to apologize to their fans because they have no fans left. There's not going to be a fucking BlizzCon soon, bro. I mean, look, I don't know if there's a jacket in the world that has enough space for pins for the next president of Blizzard Entertainment to stand up and apologize to the fucking player base. So it's probably not going to happen. But I'll tell you what, right now, Blizzard actually wishes that no one had phones because no one would actually know what the fucking news was. Our rules so hard. You can miss all of them, but not without repercussions. A good game would do better than any apology. I agree. If they fix the game, that is the apology that I need. Besides, I genuinely don't think the players deserve an apology for how Blizzard treated their employees. I think players deserve an apology for the state of the fucking game. But I mean, we didn't work there, so why the fuck would it matter? I need to sharpen my claws again. I got them done a week ago, so now they're dulling out. Your claws. Is that what you call your fingernails. Jesus, I'm so glad I don't have to worry about that. Hold up, I think someone's at the gate. Hello? I'm opening for you. Is it open? Alright. I'm just quickly gonna go get the package. I'll be back in a minute. I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. Alright, how's everyone doing? There is 100 subs on YouTube video? So what do you mean? So an Akko Hate Living in South Africa video on Sunday from 3 years ago, and he is way smaller than that video. I have definitely lost weight. Not as much as I want to. I still have to lose a lot more. But yeah. We're still getting there. God, new vape juice. So fucking happy about this, bro. No idea. I've been forced to smoke this shit. It's fucking rancid, this crap. 63 YouTube videos to watch. From who? Pango, yep. Pango all the way. This fruity ice shit is just rancid. It is absolutely fucking miserable. What video is this? Oh my Jesus, look at that. Oh my Lord. Wow. Holy crap. Jesus. Oh my Jesus. Yeah, me without a beard just looks weird. Holy crap. Vape flavors at the moment, mine is lemon. My vape flavor, the one that I basically, this is all I like smoking, is this. Pango. Jesus, I looked horrible, bro. When was this? How long ago was this? This was in 2017. Wow. That is fucking years ago, man. Whew. That was when we got 1,000 subs. 1,000 fucking subs. Respectfully, you're disgusted. Don't worry, me too. But I need to. I still need to lose a lot of weight. Like that is. I don't think anyone is looking at this and going, "Man, you've arrived." That's right. I think so too. I think the beard suits me a hell of a lot better than no beard. I can't even remember why I shaved it, to be fair. I genuinely don't remember why I shaved it. Awkward, how you doing? But yeah, I need new glasses as well. Like I've had these glasses for too long now. I think I need new ones. I need new frames. I don't know which frames I'm gonna get yet. Alright. I'll take a look. Let's see here. Holy crap. Look at this. That's like dangerous nails. Are you not, like, I'm pretty sure you could hurt yourself with those nails. Not gonna lie, but that is just, I don't know why people would have nails like that. It doesn't seem practical to me. Like, it doesn't seem practical. I would not be able to. I would not be able to have nails like this. I prefer my nails as short as humanly fucking possible. Like, I don't even like a little bit of nail. Even slight nail. Too much nail. The color's very nice, but you, if you are not careful, you will end up in A&E. Those nails should be considered a potential weapon. Considering it's Luna's nails, I'm pretty sure he's using it as weapons. Like, I don't think he would not use it as weapons, to be fair. I've never hurt myself, and I'm still a fast typer and gamer. With those nails, get fucked. There is no way you're a fast gamer with those nails. You would press other buttons. How would you press buttons with those nails? Like, your hand would have to be flat. You'd have to play games like this. Otherwise, if you like this, the nail goes over the button and presses other fucking keys as well. So unless you've keybound very intelligently to the point where you also want to be pressing other buttons when you're pressing other buttons, I'd be pressing all sorts of random shit on my keyboard. It's a tactic, a finger pad maneuver. Yeah, no. I would not be doing that. I would definitely not be doing that. Plus, it seems like a lot of work. I'm not gonna lie. I think girls put way too much work into their bodies. I'm glad I'm not a girl. Just gonna be straight up. Or a femboy, I think. Luna, that's a femboy, right? It's too much work. Oh my god. I wake up every day. I get in the shower. I dry my hair and I'm done. That's it. No comb. No fucking blow drying. No gel. No nothing. No hairspray. Fuck that. Just, we're good, bro. Let's go. little bit of beard oil. All's good in the world. If you're a girl, Jesus, I have to do my nails, I have to do my hair, I have to do my makeup. It's like, oh my fuck. Oh my fuck, can you imagine having to do all of that shit every day? Yeah, you see, I've never gone for a pedicure or a manicure in my life. I have never gone to any of those things. And to Judas, thanks for the Prime Sub, dude. Really appreciate that. 25 months in a row. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Alcove, thanks for the 2 sub, dude. Really appreciate that. 2 months in a row. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for your steady stream of content, especially on YouTube. It is my absolute pleasure, bro. Thank you so much for the support that you guys give me. Like, literally, I cannot say thank you enough. Beard oil is necessary. Ideal Maori might pop in later. Bye. Luna, take care of yourself. Thank you much for popping in. You have to do beard oil. Beard oil. If you're not doing beard oil, what the fuck? I genuinely couldn't live without putting beard oil in. Like, your beard gets really dry if you don't have some beard oil in it. It gets really fucking dried out, and I don't like when the beard is dry. If you don't take care of your beard, you end up looking like that other fat ReAccolonn. Eleanor, how you doing? I still can't believe I look like that. Like, Jesus, bro. Where's that link again? Let me just see this again. Fuck me, bro. You don't realize, right? You don't realize how fat you are until you look back and you go, wow, I was fat, bro. New. Never back. Never back. That's why we're going to the gym. That's why we're eating healthy. We need to get this shit in fucking check, bro. Give tips on beard growing. Don't shave it. That's literally it. You just don't shave it. Not sure how long it takes to get used to it. I'm using beard balm. Might try out oil. My beard tend to get itchy a lot. Beard oil is definitely the best. An absolute unit. Bro, it looks like I'm pouting in this one, and I don't think I was pouting. What was I about to say? Yeah. Yeah, no. Fuck me, dude. I remember living here. This was back in my old hometown. This was years ago. 4 years ago. 4 years today. Whew. 1,000 subs. It took such a long time to get 1,000 subs, dude. You have no idea. I'm letting my winter growth start to grow in, and I'm at the stage where all my whiskers are short and tight curls and everything just itches. Wait, you shave every summer? I actually want to be fat. I want to be like a panda, but I'm the opposite of panda. Believe me, you don't want to be fat. Believe me, it's not fun. I guess it's worse for people that have sort of like mental issues with it. You know, people that look at themselves and they're just unhappy with what they look like and shit like that. I guess it's worse for them. But just in general, you're so limited in the things that you can do. You're so limited in the things that you can buy. Like, buying clothes is a fucking nightmare. Getting chairs is a nightmare. Everything is just worse when you're fat. It's just not good. Plus, I saw this emotional or motivational quote the other day. Of course, it was with a hashtag, bullshit quotes I just made up, where the dude, it's Lysette, Joe Lysette. He's a comedian in the UK. And he had this motivational quote that said, life is like a box of chocolates. It doesn't last long if you're fat. So, yeah, being fat is definitely not a good look. $95 degrees isn't like, look, South Africa gets very hot. I don't think a beard adds that much heat. Like, strictly speaking, I don't think a beard adds almost any fucking... I don't think it adds any heat to your body. Check it, bro. I agree. The dude has like a bunch of fucking motivational quotes like that. And he does it specifically because there's so many celebrities that tweet out these stupid fucking quotes all the time, right? He has another one that says, also under the hashtag bullshit quotes I just made up, that says, don't cry when it's raining because the weather weeps for us all. Just these random fucking motivational quotes that mean absolutely nothing. Because you've all seen it, right? These celebrities that love tweeting these fucking stupid quotes. Gets 50C plus here. Yeah, but I can still have... Like, I've never felt too hot because of my beard. If anything, it's just too hot. And whether you have a beard or not, you're still going to be too fucking hot. Did I miss out on the troubles? Almond, what troubles? You mean the World of Warcraft troubles? No. I haven't started covering anything yet. We're still hanging out. We're waiting for everyone to cipher, to filter in and sort of come hang out. We're only half an hour into the stream, and I spent 10 minutes of that collecting a package outside. So, we'll get into it as soon as everyone's here and everyone's settled in. We'll get into today's topics. Got quite a number of them that I want to discuss today. Here's a question for all the dudes in chat. Do you prefer girls with short hair or long hair? What's your preference? What catches your eye immediately? If she's got short or long hair? I'm from Germany. I die already by 30C. Oh, then don't come to South Africa, bro. You would die, does. When you get 70 plus humidity, it can get to you. I suppose. Both. Doesn't matter to me. Long hair, ponytail, long, depending, but mostly long hair. Long, although don't mind short. Girls with hair, preferably. Well, yeah, okay, fine. Girls with hair, sure. Depends on where on the body. No, on the head. My answer. Body matters more. Yeah, but we're not talking about body. Imagine she's got the perfect fucking body. Now we're talking about the hair. Has shaved her head before. Feels like kissing a boy. Girl, and I prefer long. Both short, though. Depends on how it's styled. The thing for me with short hair is it looks angry. Like, when I see a girl with short hair, it looks like she's angry. I don't know why. It just looks more angry. So I prefer sort of longish hair. Not too fucking long, right? She shouldn't walk and the hair is up to her ass. But like longer hair is better. No, I like freaks that like having it pulled. Jesus, Mikimoto. Why must my chat always make everything sexual? We were talking about something nice, something that you could even discuss with your priest or in church. But no. We always have to go fucking sexual with it. No, man, I want it long so I can fucking pull that shit. Shorter hair goes does signal certain things. The trouble spot, I was going off by your title. Wait, what's my title? Do I have troubles in my title? Oh, you're talking about the Reddit? Oh, no, you haven't missed that yet. We'll see if we can get into trouble, of course. Mikimoto, I agree. I can answer for guys, though. I don't care about hair length. I personally have long hair to the end of my shoulder blades. That's pretty cool. That's good. Long hair. Short hair in America is attributed to the Karen types nowadays. Longer hair looks more elegant, in my opinion. Agreed. It does look more elegant. Because you do. Did you ever braid your beard or planning to do so? No, Alcove. I have never braided my beard, nor would I ever do that. It would be far too much effort. I have the beard because I don't want to expend any energy on shaving. So the issue for me is, I showed you guys this video, right? I believe this was the day after I shaved it all. This was the day after I shaved it all. And I mean, I proper fucking shaved it all. You can see there. That's a day. So if I want to keep clean shaven, I have to shave every single, or maybe 2 days. I think this was 2 days, excuse me. Ignore the second chin. But if I want to keep clean shaven, I have to shave every single fucking day. That is a lot of work. That is a lot of work. So I just don't do it. Like, I refuse to do it. That is a mighty chin. I was super fat then, dude. I still have a bit of a double chin, but it's nowhere near as big as it was then. Nowhere near. Remember, I'm gay, right? Guys tend to not like guys with long hair for some reason, even though guys have had long hair for thousands of years and are just now cutting it short. I don't care, Eleanor. Like, I genuinely don't. I've had, like, just out of high school, my hair came down to about there. Yeah, about there. Like, just past my shoulders. Like, I had a long-ass fucking, like, long-ass locks of hair. And I had that for probably 3 years almost before I shaved it all off. Same year, to be honest, but every now and then I'll grab hair clippers and use number 8. Number 8, Jesus, I don't even know it goes up to number 8. I'm officially no longer overweight or obese. I can make fat people jokes again. Massey, but you can only make fat people jokes when you're fat. Otherwise, you offend people. I don't really give a fuck, right? But there are people that get offended. Especially nowadays, there's this movement of going, fat is beautiful. And it's like, no, it's not. It's fucking not beautiful. What are you talking about? If fat was beautiful, everyone would be fat. It's just unhealthy. Jesus, when I had long hair, Jesus. I think that the longest I've ever seen in South Africa is like a number 4 comb. No, I had every hairstyle you can imagine. And beard is like, you now? I don't think I could have long hair again. It is a shit ton of work to have long hair. Omen, thank you very much. Diabetes can be beautiful, only if you want to die quick. The women at work are jealous because my hair is naturally wavy curly. Nice. Yeah, but I get depressed myself when I made fat jokes when I was fat. I don't really mind that I'm fat. I think that's the like, so I mind, but I don't mind. The best way I can, I guess I can describe it is, I don't care about my look, right? So I don't look at myself in the mirror and go, oh my God, I'm so fat, dude. I need to lose weight. I look so fucking, I don't care. I don't give a fuck, right? What I care about is functionality. I don't like the fact that it's hard to buy clothes for myself or that it's hard to fit into a chair. I don't like the fact that I can't do things that other people can do so fucking easily. I hate that shit. I want to be able to go for hikes and be able to keep up with people that's going for a fucking hike instead of walking halfway up the stairs and going, I'm so fucking tired. It doesn't happen anymore thanks to going to the gym. But I would want to be able to do things that normal people can do, right? But in terms of just like I don't give a fuck really. I'm not really interested in dating or marriage or anything like that. So for me, it's like I don't have anyone that I would want to lose weight for, if that makes sense. I'm not looking to lose weight so that I can be more popular with girls or some shit like that. I don't give a fuck about that crap. So for me, it is genuinely just, I want to have a better quality of life. Speaking of which, I have to get a whole new set of clothes. Everything I have is loose on me now. That's always a good feeling, though. Nico Spider, thank you for the Prime sub. Really appreciate that. 3 months in a row. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We were 3 months on Twitch. Happy to have you here, Nico. Even for Savannahs. Even for Savannahs. I started keto diet. I can eat a buttload, but I'm used to only eating 1 meal a day. I'm sort of When I cheat, I go a little bit keto, but for the most part, I'm like the more extreme version of keto. Makes brushing the knots quick and gentle. I wouldn't even then. Like I remember having long hair, and I remember hating it. I tore my ACL last year and had surgery in December. It's much easier to just be fat than to do rehab, and I'm probably both fat and still in rehab now. I mean, I think the other problem with being fat is it's like it's a self-fulfilled prophecy almost, right? You're fat, so you care less, so you get more fat, right? And then you get more fat, so you care less, and you get more fat. Whereas I see it with my brothers. Like all my brothers are very slim. I'm the only fat cunt in the family. And like my brother will like go on a binging spree for like a week and just eat whatever, right? And then he'll have like, you won't be able, like normally you can see his six pack, but so you won't be able to see the six pack, and he'll just go, wait, no, I have to stop now. I need to get this shit down. And then he gets it down and boom, back to six pack because he wants to, right? Whereas I see so many fat people just give the fuck up. Like so many fat people just sort of give up. They're just like, well, you know, I'll just eat more fucking chocolate. Not allowed to fast more than 3 days a week, sadly. If you're more hungry when being fat equals more fat. I wouldn't even say you're more hungry. You just eat more shit. What is funny, though, is have any of you ever heard fat people go, I don't eat that much? Like, fat people will almost always go, I don't even eat that much. I don't know why I'm fat. But then if you actually calculate how much they fucking eat, you go, no, you eat a lot. Like, bitch, you eat a fuck ton. I've showed plastic bristles and the knots just come right out of long hair, wet or dry. You see, but then you have to spend money on looking good. I would say carbs is perhaps the number one killer in our world. And specific carbs, right? If you're eating potatoes, sweet potatoes, something like that, that's not necessarily the bad carbs. It's not brilliant carbs for you, but it's not bad carbs, right? But bread, fucking chocolate crisps or chips, shit like that, it is just, no, sugar is, in my opinion, nowhere near as bad as carbs, because carbs is sugar. The difference is just carbs release over a period of time, so it gives you, like, honestly, and this is literally from a doctor, if you really want to cheat, rather eat a bar of chocolate than eating a bag of chips. Because the amount of sugar in a bag of chips far fucking exceeds the amount of sugar in a normal bar of candy, like a normal candy bar. Because that's just sugar. It's going to punch you in the face for half an hour and your body's going to deal with it and it's going to go out. Whereas if you eat a bag of chips, you're going to deal with that sugar for the next fucking 4 or 5 hours. It's just going to overload your body with a crap ton of fucking sugar. I know of people that have lost weight simply by cutting out carbs, dude. Like, they've not cut out anything else. They've just cut out carbs and they start losing weight. The only reason they say to limit carbs is there's still this sort of weird belief that energy comes from carbs. So you need carbs in order to get energy. And the truth is, no. Your body will grab energy from your fat if it no longer gets energy from your food. It's literally what your body does. It's what your body was built to do. If you're not giving it any sort of carbs, it needs energy. So it will start breaking down the fat of your body in order to produce energy. It's a tougher process. It takes it longer to do it. But, you know, that's basically what you want to lose weight. You are super mentally morbidly obese. Why? My 600-pound life. What do you mean 600-pound life? My weight tends to be very seasonal in that I lose a lot of weight in the winter when it's cold. This is because I enjoy being outside. Going outside in the cold makes me more active. The summer, however, 90 plus degrees plus humidity can fuck right off. I become an air conditioning hermit. Nigga Spider, there's actually a reason for it, right? Your body burns a fuck ton, like a fuck ton of energy to warm itself up. Most people lose a lot of weight during winter, like relatively, right? Unless, of course, you stuff your face with chocolates the whole winter. But when your body is cold, it takes far more energy for your body to heat itself up than it takes for your body to cool itself down. And so in winter, your body is just naturally burning a lot more fat. As a TV show? Jesus. The fact that you can get to 600 pounds, like how fucking large is 600? Hold on, let me just check this. I just want to see. 600 pounds to kg. How the fuck do you get to 272 kilograms, bro? I'm 150 kilograms right now. 156, I think, kilograms right now. The highest I've ever gone was 185 kilograms, right? That's the heaviest I've ever been. And that was the moment, like I was looking at myself and I just said, you can't keep doing this. You cannot keep doing this. You have to change something. That was the moment that I decided I need to start going to the gym. I need to start fucking working out. This is unhealthy for me. But allowing yourself to just get to 272 kilograms, it's like, wow, you're a baby elephant. Congratulations, you have crossed the species fucking barrier. Jesus, no. I lost weight just doing keto and not going to the gym even. Embers, 75% of all weight loss starts in the kitchen. It's actually been shown over and over again. Training does not help you lose weight. Doesn't do shit. You can lose all of your weight by never setting foot in the gym. If you eat right, your body will automatically get you in shape because it's automatically going to burn carbs. But they've also done a bunch of other studies, which was really interesting. So there's been this massive study now on intermittent fasting. How many people in chat do intermittent fasting? Intermittent fasting is no better than any other diet on the planet. They've done the research on it and they found literally zero difference. Ascension, you do that. It literally has no impact. The reason intermittent fasting works and why a lot of people believe that it works so much better than just normal diets is because you're restricting the window in which you can eat. You're usually not able to eat as much in the window that you're allowed to eat in because you'll be full before you can overeat. What they found is the only thing that works is calorie restriction. No matter what diet you follow, if the diet restricts the amount of calories that you take in, you lose weight. Doesn't matter, literally doesn't matter what the diet is, as long as it restricts the calories that you take in. Intermittent fasting showed no better results than any other calorie restrictive diet throughout all of their testing. It's the same. The only reason intermittent fasting works so well is because I do intermittent fasting. I only eat once a day. There's physically only so much that I can eat. Unless, of course, you eat a bunch of chocolates and fucking crisps and shit. But if all you're doing is eating a plate of food, you've all done this, right? How much can you really eat? There's a point where you just go, I can't eat anymore, and then you haven't even eaten that much. You've literally not eaten that much. You've just sort of You've had basically a normal meal like a normal person would, but because that's your own, like that's the only meal you eat, you're obviously taking in far less calories than what you normally would. I know there's been research like that, but the guy I watched is actually, he's got his doctorate in something human biology, something, whatever the fuck. He's very famous on YouTube. He's got like a YouTube channel with well over a couple of million followers. He does all these like videos about research papers and studies into gym and into healthy diets and healthy living and shit like that, right? He's a youngish guy. He's a youngish guy. The reason he said that it's probably not going to translate to humans is because of how different rats and wolves are, like, to humans, how their metabolisms work and how their metabolisms function. I don't know if it's Dr. Berg. That doesn't sound familiar. This is a youngish guy. This is not yeah, it's not this dude. No. Eleanor, so I eat while watching something, and I make a point of taking a bite, then sitting and just watching, and then taking another bite, sitting and watching. So I make a point of not just gulping down the food, right? Because, yes, eating slower will allow you to eat less. Trying to remember what this dude is called. Stu, because I remember him, but I can't fucking remember his name now. What the fuck? Thomas DeLauer. Thomas DeLauer. That's his name. He's got like he's got a medical science degree or some shit like that. I love this stuff. It's a great conversation. Ilithis, I agree. The guy's name is Thomas DeLauer, and he's got like a shit ton of videos about gym, diets, shit like that. I love Joe Rogan as well. He's not a medical doctor. He's got a degree in medical science, I believe. Also, medical doctors know, I mean, when it comes to diets and shit, medical doctors aren't necessarily the best people. They usually take advice from medical scientists. Ascension Jesus, that's gonna be... Hold up, I actually closed it down, so I have to look for it again. He's not the only guy I've watched that does shit like this. He's just one of them. That's why I love Thomas DeLauer, because he doesn't come up with his own shit. What he does is he'll talk about a topic, right? So let's say intermittent fasting. And then he'll go look for all of the studies. Like, his videos aren't just him sort of talking crap or giving you his opinion. It's him showing you the medical studies that was done. So he looks for the medical studies. And he tries to give you a good case of both sides of the argument when there is two sides to an argument. So it's quite informative to watch someone like Thomas DeLauer. It's good fun. These videos are really good fun to watch. There's a couple of other people that I watch as well, but usually don't subscribe to them. I just fucking, like, I see their videos pop up and I watch it. Yeah, normal GPs are... I mean, they usually come to pretty good conclusions, but it's usually based on their own sort of, you know, quick search or over time sort of advice that they've given. I mean, they're not like the be-all end-all. Doctors are not as smart as we think, at least the ones you see in person. They oftentimes rely on Google, no shit, or even their nurses. And or I would say that's true. The vast majority of I mean, Oreos, of course, it's full of sponsored products. You get sponsored by people. They attract you, and when you have 2.8 million subscribers, of course you're gonna accept the sponsors. The only thing that you really should worry about is, are they actually are they just taking any fucking sponsor? Or are they actually willing, like, do they do their research on the sponsorships? What I've seen from Thomas DeLauer is every sponsorship he accepts, it's products that he actually uses. I would say, just, Eleanor, back to your point. The vast majority of medical doctors and nurses are in it for the money. Like, just... surprise, surprise. They're just in it because it's a job and it pays fairly well. Very few are in it to actually help people. It's a good job, right? Being a doctor pays fucking well. Even being a nurse pays fucking well. At least it does in South Africa. It pays very well. There's very few doctors who actually give a fuck. Aureus, that's also true. Some people genuinely just want the DR in front of their name. Like, they want to be big dick. Oh, I'm a doctor, you know. And you'll refer to me as doctor. I've actually had that before. Where I go into a doctor's office and I'm like, hey, Jim, or whatever the fuck their name was. I think their name was Nick. And I said, hey, Nick. And he's like, that's doctor. I think his name is Stunder. That's Dr. Stunder. I'm like, no, it's not. It's Nick. That's your fucking name, right? I know I'm at the doctor's office. I came here. But I literally came here. I drove to this fucking building to be at the doctor. I don't need to affirm that you are, in fact, the doctor. I know you're the doctor. I sat in the waiting room waiting to come in. You know, but they want that. My dad is one of the few doctors I know that fucking loathes it. He hates it, even when he has to go to the hospital, because he's private. He has a private practice. But every once in a while, one of his patients end up in the hospital, so he has to go to the hospital. And the nurses by now, they know, don't refer to him as doctor. He's got a name, just call him by his name. That's it. $100K USD. Essentially, that's because your government pays for it, and whenever the government is involved, it's shit. It's like the military bullshit protocols that made no sense back then and still don't. I mean, when it comes to the military, I suppose that it makes more sense, right? Because military is all about that rigidity, right? It's that rigid fucking, these are the rules and you will stick to the fucking rules. But I also say, one of the things that so, not to brag or anything. Well, it's not really bragging. It's not my fucking achievement. But I would say my dad is one of the few doctors that's actually a good fucking doctor. Because he's one of those people that thinks beyond just the normal, like, you know, the obvious thing. So, there was a guy who came into my dad's practice. Now, my dad's practice is in a very small little town. It's like a farmer's town. My dad moved there like 10 years ago, maybe more than 10 years ago. And there's a lot of hunting farms, like hunting lodges and stuff around. And there was this one guy, he's a normal GP, Massey, general practitioner. And a guy came into his office. The guy is from Joburg, like the largest city in South Africa, with apparently some of the best doctors in the country all work there because there's a lot of money there. The guy came into my dad's office. They were on a hunting trip, and he's been having problems with his stomach, right? And the doctors have told him that it's his gallbladder, and they gave him medicine for his gallbladder. So the guy walks into my dad's office, and he's like, I'm struggling, doc. I genuinely can't fucking, I can't sit up. I can't stand. It is so sore. Can you just give me something for my gallbladder? My dad says, just lie down. And so my dad starts feeling around, and he's like, at first he's like, yeah, this feels like the gallbladder is inflamed. But so my dad goes, wait a second. He starts feeling sort of more to the back, and it turns out something else had burst inside the guy. Like, I don't know what it is. I can't remember the name. But something burst, and that was causing the gallbladder to inflame, which all of these doctors just fucking missed. Like, they all just missed it. That's the problem with most doctors. They literally, you'll go in, you'll have a problem, they'll feel around, they'll be like, yeah, you're good. Get the fuck out. Here's your pills or medication. My wife is 30 miles away. Covered. Final phase has begun. Peace out, my dude. Catch you tomorrow. Apocalypse. Enjoy the wife coming back. His appendix or something. I genuinely can't remember what it was. My dad, this is years ago. So I can't remember what it was. But it turns out it was actually something else. Like, my dad x-rayed the guy. Took an x-ray, checked it out, and it was actually something far worse than just a gallbladder infection. But, I mean, there's things like... So, my dad is not a poor guy, right? Just to be clear. Doctors in South Africa are not poor. The last time I spoke to him, his earnings per month is over $40,000 a month, right? That he makes. But his practice is also set up where... Because he sees a lot of poor people, right? In the area that he is, there's a lot of poor people. He charges $15 for a what's the fucking word in English? When someone comes in, consultation. $15 for a consultation, and that includes all of your medicine. So whatever medicine you need, like for the disease that you have, it's included in the $50. So sometimes he makes profits, sometimes he makes losses. And there's some doctors in South Africa who does that. But then there's also those who do not do that. Like, there's doctors who charge about $50 a consultation. Plus, you have to pay for all your medicine. Diagnosis is difficult to get all the time. True, but sometimes they get it completely fucking wrong. Like with my mum. With my mum, they thought that she had... I don't know if this is what it's called in English, but they thought that she had a stomach break. In Afrikaans, it's called a breek, which would directly translate to break, right? They thought that that's what she had. They even did a scrape, right, to confirm it. And the scrape showed that it wasn't a break, and so they thought, well, just some inflammation, that must be it. For a year and a half, she was bloated as fuck, in pain, eventually couldn't even walk, until they took her to, they brought her to Pretoria, to a doctor here. And then they found that she had ovarian cancer. Because the doctors couldn't be fucking asked. They literally could not be asked to do any sort of investigation into it. And at the time that they found the ovarian cancer, it had spread to the liver, the kidneys, all of her intestines, everything was now covered in cancer. That's what our country health department doctors' offices do. It's quite nice. My mum died 13 years ago. Yeah, no? 14 years ago. No, the cancer eventually claimed her, but we knew that it was going to happen. Like, my dad was told, so my mum was in Pretoria, I was studying in Pretoria, and like, they told my dad that she had ovarian cancer, and my dad just phoned us and said, okay, your mom has about a 5% chance of living, so best say your goodbyes now. Like, we knew this, and then a year later, she passed. That's my dad, sadly. He's like one of those people that just, he gives you the bad news that he doesn't give a fuck. So we knew from the beginning she's probably not going to make it. I mean, ovarian cancer is horrible. It's literally 95% mortality rate on ovarian cancer. Mrs. Moken, what's the point? Like, sure, you could sue the doctors, but, you know, it's not bringing anyone back, right? A few days ago, I found out my golden retriever of 11 years is, I don't know how to pronounce that word, a malignant tumor. cancer is a fucking bitch, dude. It really is. Anyways, enough of the fucking depressing shit. We have a couple of things that we have to talk about. Some things that's been sent my way. Mr. Smokin is actually he's provided us with the first topic for today's discussion. Blizzard is what's the technical term I'm looking for here? Digging a hole for themselves. Or shall we say digging the hole deeper for themselves, at least according to the workers of Blizzard Entertainment. So, Activision Blizzard employees represented by a Better ABK worker group filed a lawsuit against the Call of Duty publisher with the National Labor Review Board yesterday, accusing it of union busting. It comes in the wake of a bombshell California lawsuit alleging widespread sexual harassment and discrimination at the company. Activision Blizzard management is using coercive tactics to attempt to prevent its employees from exercising their rights to stand together and demand a more equitable, sustainable, and diverse workplace. The Code CWA campaign to organize digital employees, which has partnered with ABK for the lawsuit, wrote in a press release. If the NLRB rules in favor, the ruling will be retroactive and will set a precedent that no worker in the US can be intimidated out of talking about forced arbitration. Talking about forced arbitration. You see, my problem with this is... So I was watching, I can't remember what the lawyer is called, but there was a lawyer who actually broke down forced arbitration on the lawsuit, right? One of the things that the workers want is no more forced arbitration. And according to this lawyer, who, by the way, in his entire video was not pro-Blizzard, like, he was absolutely like calling Blizzard out on a bunch of things that they were doing. But he actually said that this, trying to get rid of arbitration, is stupid. And the main reason for it is if you don't have arbitration in your clause, you'll be forced to take the company to court for almost everything. And then it's usually an individual taking a company to court. As it turns out, like it's almost a 20-minute video. I'm not going to go through the whole fucking video. But arbitration is not actually an anti-worker thing. It actually isn't. A lot of the time, arbitration actually sort of works in favor of workers. Because you do get an arbitrator that is impartial, listens to both sides, and makes a ruling based on both sides, and based on the actual law. So it depends, because I don't know exactly what the arbitration rules are for Blizzard Entertainment. It may have been Hoag's Law. I can't remember who it was. I've watched a couple of videos now on this ABK lawsuit thing from actual lawyers speaking. Third party to process the mediation. According to the complaint, Activision Blizzard told employees they cannot communicate with or discuss ongoing investigations of wages, hours, and working conditions, and has leveraged its social media policies, surveillance, and employees' interrogations to try and punish employees for engaging in worker activity that's protected under federal law. I mean, fuck. If you're... So, surveillance is a little bit... Like, I mean, come on. Surveillance, really? You're tweeting shit out. It's not surveillance. You're tweeting it out to the public. They're just looking at your fucking tweets. So I wouldn't call that surveillance. That's just you're tweeting shit out. And considering the fact that there are so many Blizzard employees that is now tweeting literally everything that happens at the company, of course Blizzard is paying attention to what is happening on Twitter, because their workers seem far more interested in talking on Twitter than what they seem interested in actually solving the problems. And I'm not looking at every single worker here, but there are a few workers at the moment that is on Twitter that seems to take this moment as the moment to get themselves famous. Like, they are tweeting every single day about every single thing that happens. They get called into human resources for a meeting, and they tweet out how fucking scared they are, and they're shaking because they just got called in for a meeting at human resources. And it's like, well, isn't that what you fucking wanted? for human resources to actually take note of the things that's happening? Like, surely if human resources are calling you in, maybe go to the meeting, and then if the meeting turns out to be just them trying to force you to, shut the fuck up, then tweet that shit out. Like, tweet out that, oh, I was just in a human resources meeting, and they were telling me if I don't shut my mouth, I'm going to get fired. That's news, but you being called into human resources during a time where Blizzard is trying to figure out how to best treat their employees, even though that should be obvious, doesn't seem like it's too far fucking out there, right? Interrogations, again, I don't know what that means. We think since they're being so outspoken, leadership is trying to get rid of them. One current employee told Vice's Waypoint. They said this has contributed to some employees going silent or leaving the company altogether. We've seen retaliation already, so I'm scared, they told Waypoint. Activision Blizzard did not immediately respond to a request for comment. A lawsuit by the California Department in July accused Blizzard of frat boy culture. It also resulted in this we already know, that's why I'm not covering this. It also resulted in the formation of ABK, a worker group on behalf of Activision, Blizzard, and King employees. They want several changes. ABK has also criticized that move, saying the firm has a conflict of interest because it's pre-existing business ties to Activision Blizzard. We call on you and your executive leadership team to do better and to fully address our list of demands, the group said in a statement last month. If this is true, so let me preface this by saying if this is true, I have no issues, and I have had no issues believing that female employees at Blizzard Entertainment suffered sexual harassment. I think there's more than enough evidence of that having happened. I don't think anyone at this point can question that is the case. However, I have no evidence that suggests that Activision Blizzard is actively suppressing their workforce and telling their workforce to shut the fuck up. But if it is true, one has to wonder, how deep does this hole go? Like, just how deep can Blizzard actually dig this hole before they reach the fucking bottom? Because, look, you're already in a lawsuit for bad fucking business practice, right? Why would you make it worse? Like, one would hope that this would have been the moment where you wake the fuck up and realize you can't get away with just being dicks. You can't get away with just being dicks the whole time. I mean, the union busting thing, it makes sense that most companies want to bust unions. Most big companies don't like unions because a lot of the time those unions cause a lot of shit, and a lot of unions actually don't look out for the worker, despite what workers might believe. Unions have a vested financial interest in existing. So it does actually happen a lot of the time that workers get treated far worse because of unions. So there are, and obviously there's also those big companies that want to bust it for their own gain, right? They don't want workers to sort of band together because that makes it harder to actually exploit them. So there's two sides of that coin, and both is true in equal measure. But at the end of the day, now's not the time to do it, right? I recognize that you really don't want your workers to unionize, especially in the gaming industry. The last thing the gaming industry wants is workers to unionize. But now's not the time. This is the moment where you shut the fuck up and you just swallow the fact that your workers will unionize. Why will they unionize? Well, because you couldn't keep your fucking hands to yourself. It's really as simple as that. If the men working at Activision Blizzard knew that, hey, when a girl stands in the fucking hallway, her ass is not up for grabs, then this would never have happened. This would not have fucking happened. The fact of the matter is, you should not have grabbed ass at work, then this wouldn't have happened. So, Blizzard, swallow your fucking pride, take the fucking L, and move on. You have lost this round. How about you just treat your workers fairly? That's literally all you have to do. And it's not just girls, by the way. There's so many guys that came out with stories of being sexually harassed at work. Guys who had other team members telling them that they want to have a threesome with them and their wife. It's like, what the fuck? This company is sick, and you have to allow for this company to heal. The way it heals is to bring everything out in the open. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. But no, of course not. Of course not. Bobby Kotick will never let that happen. So we'll fucking see, right? We'll fucking see. Let's see what happens next. It is funny to me, though, that I guarantee you, even this video or this discussion, there'll still be people who defend Blizzard. There will still be people who go, no, Blizzard did nothing wrong. When I worked for Walgreens Distribution, they forced us to go into classes for like a whole month about how unions are bad when they had a vote. Shit. Common sense, ReAccolonn, what's that? It doesn't exist anymore, right? Employee, I want the old talent to be resurrected. Blizzard denied. New talent tree is a must. If you don't like, you are fired. The thing about unions is that if a part becomes unionized, then so does the whole company. So other areas besides WoW that will be affected. Kid Cougar, so my problem with unions is unions are no longer what they were meant to be, right? Even as someone that is for capitalism, like I'm a full-blown capitalist, right? I'm not a socialist. I think communism is fucking evil. I believe that unions is part of the free market enterprise. I believe that unions are part of the free market enterprise. I think it's literally called free market. It means that workers are free to unionize. It means that workers are free to band together for collective bargaining power, right? That's what free market means. The worker is as free as the corporation that they work for. The corporation must be free, the worker must be free, and the consumer must be free. So I can see unions working in a free market capitalist economy, but then the people who run the union must also work at the company. The problem that I have is that most unions are businesses. They're businesses. I actually had the pleasure of someone reaching out to me who works at a union, who sort of explained to me exactly how much those unions give a fuck about workers. Like, they genuinely don't care. Most of the things that they organize is aimed at relevance. So they organize things to maintain relevance. Even if it ends up hurting the employees, they don't give a fuck. I mean, the fact of the matter is, for me, if you're not working at the company and suffering the consequences of something like a strike, right? Because the thing is, most strikes are unpaid. If you go on strike, you're not getting paid. So you end up losing a crazy amount of money during that time. The guy who organized the strike doesn't give a fuck because he's getting paid either way. He's not losing money. You're the one losing money. You're the moron losing money because you think you're striking for an increase of 2%. You get your increase of 2%, but the money that you lost is far more. So I just think modern day unions are a joke. OPN is not affected to it. Otherwise, it would make sense. If so, otherwise. Suppressing a game director and making him to do other way around as where he didn't like to go. Wait, Ian? Ian is working with Blizzard on this, bro. Ian is actually the guy who brought this company in to solve the problem. Ian is not affected by shit. The reason Ian hasn't lost his job yet is probably because he has coffee with Bobby Kotick on the golf course every Wednesday. Like, no, Ian is fine, bro. You don't have to worry about that dude. He's got his shit sorted. We've already had this discussion. If any of you at your job had the track record that Ian Hazikostas has at Blizzard, you'd not have a job anymore. Like, your job would be no more. Your boss would have fired you years ago. The dude has overseen 3 expansions, and 2 of the 3 have been utter failures. For every single one of us, if you did that, if I have 3 years of failing videos, I'd be out of a fucking job. Like, my channel would be dead. Most of you would have lost your job already. He's one of the only people who can get away with having 3 fucking horrible days and still be in a job. I hope so. Ian moves up and out of Blizzard. KitKat, I don't think that will happen. What's the TBC Classic player numbers like nowadays? I think it's very low. Like, a lot of people are quitting. I don't even know if he single-handedly ruined the game. Like, it's so difficult to know who is responsible for what at Blizzard, right? It's so difficult to know. Because at the end of the day, it could be... It could be because Ian made wrong decisions. It could be because Ian was forced to make wrong decisions. It could be a million different things. So I always try to steer clear of just straight up blaming someone. Even though I want to blame Ian because it seems like he is pretty well protected at that company. I heard someone was training for his position and he was moving to Activision executive offices. So hoping or put him back to making raids. He's awesome at that. I agree with that, KitKat. He is an amazing raid designer. He probably won't go back to raid designer. He will probably move up to Activision offices. I haven't heard any of those rumors though. I've heard quite a few rumors, but none of those rumors. Even if Ian didn't single-handedly do it, he is the one person approving changes in designs. It's still his fault. He's the head. I agree. It was Balila. Wow. Can you imagine if they fucking get someone else? Like, holy shit. Can you imagine? I don't know who's to blame for WoW's downfall, to be honest. I agree, Esoteric. It is unproductive to try and blame one person for this, because I don't think one person has the power to ruin a game. Like, do you realize just how many bad choices you must make in order to ruin a game as big as World of Warcraft? Let's be very fucking clear about this. You didn't just ruin World of Warcraft, right? You allowed a game that a few years ago was nowhere. No one was talking about Final Fantasy. No one gave a fuck. No one would have even tried Final Fantasy. You've allowed your game to fall so far that this game finally got the recognition that it deserves. It wouldn't have happened. Like, World of Warcraft was... Final Fantasy lived in the shadow of World of Warcraft. I quit WoW a month into Shadowlands, but I started playing in Classic. I've always been a healer main and was really pushing myself to like the content, but to be honest, it was just too repetitive and boring. I love the WoW lore and stories, but I just can't be fucked playing the game to actually see it. That's why I love your channel and YouTube, because you keep us up to date with detailed WoW lore and a veteran player's knowledge and experience. Princess Melina, it is my absolute pleasure to do that. Death by 100 fuck-ups. It's actually death by 1,000 fuck-ups. World of Warcraft died because of a million small cuts. Elodie, I would love World of Warcraft to get back on track so I can play both. I love this game, but I also love WoW. Contrary to popular belief, I am actually a massive WoW fanboy. I started a fucking channel because of my love for WoW. So contrary to popular belief, that's one of the only reasons I haven't given up on WoW yet. Is because I truly love that game. And I would love it to be at a place where I can play that too. right? So I can play some Final Fantasy, and when I'm not in the mood for Final Fantasy, I can jump into WoW, and I can play some WoW, and I can jump into everything else. That's what I would want. Agree with you, Zealotry. I wouldn't surprised at all if Blizz devs realized they screwed up, something isn't working, but they were told, sorry, there's no budget for you to scrap that or completely change it. We're releasing an X-Day period. I mean, I think the next expansion is going to blow everyone away. I still love WoW. I don't know if me anger or disappointment is what's stopping me from playing. I don't think anyone... I have heard of Ascension, yes. I don't think anyone is... I don't blame anyone for still playing WoW. I'm not one of those content creators that thinks people should stop playing WoW. I think you should do what makes you happy. At the end of the day, I'm for freedom. I'm for your freedom to play whatever the fuck you want to play. And if that happens to be WoW, hey, more power to you. I will be here to bring you the lore and all the lore discussions, because it's not my job to tell you what to play. The gaming world has plenty of games. You can play whatever the fuck you want. Plus, all of you have lied to me about Final Fantasy. Just want to say that. I played Final Fantasy last night, Final Fantasy X, and I'm not liking it so far. I specifically don't like the combat. Like, you just click attack and then your guy attacks. That doesn't seem like a fun fucking system to me. The fall and rise of Final Fantasy. Mighty, can you DM me that? That's the old turn-based style? Yeah, I did not like that. I still play WoW because my son is a CE raider and we play together. I can't afford to pay another sub and buy a new game. Shit, Kika, I'm sorry to hear that. But I will say Final Fantasy is free up to level 60. 12, most are turn-based. Next expansion will blow everyone away because Ian has Mike Ybarra whispering to him. Mike Ybarra, I think, is going to single-handedly save World of Warcraft. Do you think they actually legit learned this time? That they understand this is their last chance to earn trust back? I thought 9.0 would blow everyone away after BFA, and well, here we are. What do you think is different this time? What do I think is different this time? I'm going to talk to your main point, the main question that you asked me, which is, do you think they've actually learned their lesson this time? So first and foremost, what does that encompass? What does it mean, actually learning your lesson, right? It doesn't just mean that you make changes that players have requested, because that doesn't mean that you've learned your lesson. It just means that you're going down a checklist, right? So you're going down a checklist and you're checking all of the things the players asked for. It does not go to the philosophy of the game, though, right? Which is the biggest problem within World of Warcraft. In World of Warcraft, the problem has never been the implementation of systems or the design of the game. It's always been the philosophy behind the design of the game, right? When your philosophy is flawed, it will automatically flaw everything else. Everything else will just be a little less good as a result of your philosophy being flawed. Before we continue, let me just very quickly... I forgot to make a video public. Mipster, thank you for reminding me. Just realized I actually have a video that needs to be made public. Fuck. Yeah, almost fucking forgot about this. There we go. Okay. All right, that's done. Now we can get back to the video. All right. So, has Blizzard learned their lesson in terms of what is wrong, why it's wrong, and what should ultimately be fixed as a result of that which is wrong? I think the answer is best encompassed in this section of what's coming in 9.15. Like the blue post, the developer update for what's coming in 9.1.5. The answer is no. Based on this section right here, the answer is a fundamental no. Blizzard have not truly learned their lesson. Fact of the matter is, it doesn't seem like Blizzard Blizzard understands that players are unhappy with the game. The why players are unhappy about the game seems to still leave Blizzard in a bit of a head scratcher. Because what have Blizzard done? They've taken Cho'Gath and they've made it so that it's even more of a chore. Because you're now forced to do it because it gives even more Soul Ash and even more Soul Cinders. Now, there could be an argument here that they're allowing you to finish doing Cho'Gath far quicker, right? So the increased amount of Soul Ash and Soul Cinders means that you'll be able to basically finish Cho'Gath within a week. You'll never need to do it again. You spam it for 1 week and then you're done. You never have to touch Cho'Gath again. It's still a chore. If Blizzard had truly learned their lessons, Soul Ash and Soul Cinders would have been removed from Cho'Gath entirely. It would have been moved to raid bosses instead. Why should it be moved to raid bosses? The answer is actually fairly simple. Because that's where you will use the items that you get from that currency. When you buy or spend currency to get a specific thing in the game, you should gain that currency from the thing where that specific thing in the game will be used. You should not get that currency from something that has fuck all to do with the item that you're actually going to get. This tells me that Blizzard still doesn't have a fucking clue. Ian Azikosta still thinks to himself the only reason people don't like Cho'Gath is because it doesn't give enough Soul Ash or enough Soul Cinders. When in reality, the answer is these two things come from the wrong fucking place. To be clear though, am I saying that Soul Ash and Soul Cinders should not drop from Cho'Gath at all? No. I'm not saying that. You should absolutely be able to get Soul Ash and Soul Cinders from Cho'Gath as well. A way for the casual player to also get their hands on a legendary. But for a raider, they should never be forced to go into Cho'Gath to get these two items. A raider shouldn't have to do it. White Frank, thanks for the follow, dude. Really appreciate that. That's my point. I'm not saying don't have Soul Ash and Soul Cinders in Cho'Gath. I'm saying it should also be obtainable through Mythic Plus and through raiding. And how do you make sure that people aren't forced to now do Mythic Plus, raiding, and Cho'Gath? You put a cap on it. And you make the cap so that one full clear on normal or heroic will cap you. So as a raider, if you've done your full clear of Cho'Gath, of the newest raid, Sanctum of Domination, you're capped. You even if you wanted to go into Cho'Gath to farm more, there is no more farming. It's just, that's it. You're done. You can't get any more. Come back next week. It's capped now. Right? And you also make the cap so that you can build a legendary within a week or two, right? So you basically make the cap and to attain it, that say 1.5 clears of the raid will give you one legendary. Because let's be real, the legendaries did not work out. No one truly is excited about their legendaries. No one truly gives a fuck about their legendaries. At the end of the day, it is what it is, right? You want me to tweet it out? We could do that. I haven't tweeted in a while. Actually, I did tweet a poll earlier today. All right, what am I calling? What am I saying with this poll? Truffle Shuffle, thank you for doing something. Really appreciate that. 8 months in a row. Thank you, brother. September. Working out. I really appreciate each and every one of you for taking full advantage of September, even though I don't do anything to actually promote it. 20% off, by the way. If you've ever wanted to sub to the channel, now's the time. You get 20% off. All right, let's say Soul Ash and Soul Cinders. Is that spelled correctly? I feel like it's not spelled correctly. No, it is, yeah. Soul Cinders should be attainable in raids and Mythic Plus. Jesus, okay, I'm trying to think how to formulate this message. Soul Ash and Soul Cinders should be attainable in raids and Mythic Plus with a weekly cap to where you cap out on one full clear of the raid on normal /HC. Let's do n/HC. Soul Ash and Soul Cinder should be attainable in raids and Mythic Plus with a weekly cap to where you cap out on one full clear of the raid on normal and heroic. Captain Swanky, how you doing, brother? Torghast isn't. What the fuck? Torghast isn't content for raiders. For raiders and PvPers. And should not be forced onto them in order to enjoy their content. I don't like that. This immediate part, don't fucking like. It's so hard to formulate a fucking tweet, bro. Soul Ash and Soul Cinder should be attainable in raids and Mythic Plus. Raids, Mythic Plus, and PvP. Raids, Mythic Plus, and PvP. With a weekly cap to where you cap out on one full clear of the raid on normal or heroic. Jace, that's my plan would be that. People should get huge amounts of Soul Ash. Zigzix, the problem with no cap is you're ending up with the same problem as what you ended up before. If you have no cap, raiders will be forced to not only clear normal, they'll have to clear normal, clear LFR, clear heroic, clear mythic, and clear Torghast multiple times a week because there's no cap. So suddenly raiders are basically degeneratively playing the game just to try and keep up. Right? Literally just to try and keep up so that they can get all of the legendaries and access to all of the legendaries. The reason you have a cap is so that someone isn't forced to do multiple things every single fucking day, right? Lexi, how you doing? Mr. Tame, it does actually improve Torghast because suddenly you're no longer forced to do Torghast, and it opens Blizzard up to actually make Torghast what it was supposed to be when they first envisioned it, by making it harder, making it unlimited, giving people access to stupid powers, and giving people an actual challenge because you no longer have to worry about casuals not being able to clear the content because it's meant to be fun. It's meant to be a Mage Tower experience. How is ReAccolonn? The problem is with the community shitting on people for not no-lifing. Indication on when 9.1.5 is coming out. Elodie, I would say probably within the next 2.5 months, maybe. I'm trying to think. Soul Ash and Soul Cinder should be attainable in raids, Mythic Plus, and PvP with a weekly cap to where no cap, to where you cap out on one full clear of raid, of the raid on normal and heroic. Cap to ensure that no one is forced to no life to get all the ash. Is that really necessary? No, let's remove that. Make Torghast cosmetic only and rework so it actually becomes a challenging mage tower-esque experience. What do you guys think? You think this tweet is good enough? He's already servicing ladies. Fucking proud of that guy. I don't think so. If you get enough, you need 1,250 to make legendary, but you get 100 per raid run. You think they'll release 915 randomly capitalized words? Yeah, I just like doing that too, because if I spoke, this is the words that I would put extra emphasis on. Let's do this. To fix Torghast. Alright, there we go. Go like that fucking bitch. Go like it and retweet it. In Zakaram now, lol. I have just bought 10 alpaca babies. Nice. This does not hurt anything because even if you have infinite soul ash, you can only wear one legendary at a time. Zigzags, but that would also make legendaries completely useless. Like, at the end of the day, that would also make legendaries completely useless. Right? But no, to answer the long-winded answer now, 14 minutes of answer basically. I don't think Blizzard have learned anything, so I'm still not hyped for the next expansion, because if this is their answer to fixing Torghast, it means that they don't know what's wrong with Torghast. They still haven't figured it out. Even after all the videos that's been made, I myself have made probably 10 videos at this point on it, and we're still no closer than what we've been. We're still literally at the start. Like, Blizzard have still not figured out what's wrong with Torghast, and it's right fucking in front of them. It's right in front of their eyes. Release 915 on the Endwalker time frame. Endwalker comes out November 22. That could be a shot in the foot. If Blizzard... So, it used to be a case that Blizzard would release their patches literally either on the day or like the day before a next expansion, or a new expansion or a new game comes out. If Blizzard tried to take on Final Fantasy right now, they would lose. So, Ranadin, Endwalker is poised to come out November 22, like you state. In the past, Blizzard would do this with almost every single game, right? If a new MMO came out or a new game came out, Blizzard would have their patch sort of launch a week before the next game comes out, or the next expansion for a game comes out, and it would basically sort of ruin that game, right? Because everyone would flood back to play the new patch. Blizzard is no longer in the driving seat here. If Blizzard tried to take on Final Fantasy right now, they lose. 100%. No one will play the new patch for World of Warcraft. People will play Endwalker. So all of this work, all of these reworks for 915 will go down the fucking drain as everyone is enjoying their time in Endwalker and no one gives a shit about 915. Blizzard could do that when they were king of the mountain, when they were the ones sort of punching up and doing their own thing. They couldn't really punch up. There was no one up, so they could only punch down. The fact of the matter is, Blizzard can't do that anymore. If they try to do that now, they're done. That patch will not be played at least for a month before people are maybe done with Endwalker and now sort of looking to other games. So I don't think Blizzard is in the position anymore. They would be stupid. They're no longer in the position where they can actually take on other games. They're just not. Blizzard shouldn't even try. In fact, I would argue Blizzard isn't even in the position anymore to take on games like ESO. They should just do what every other gaming company does, and that is make your content and hope that people play it. That's it. Don't try to screw other games over because it's not going to work. In fact, where in the past people saw it sort of as Blizzard going, look at us flexing on these other games, people will probably now call it out scumbag. Like, people will actually call Blizzard scumbags. If they release the next patch just before or on Endwalker, people would see that as a scumbag move. You knew that Endwalker was going to release on November 22. Why are you trying to force people into your game when there's a new expansion coming for the next Final Fantasy? Don't be scumbags. Just release your game. My personal opinion, it should release at the latest a month before Endwalker. So the people have a month to play 915, get bored with it, and Endwalker comes out and people leave anyways for Endwalker. That way, at least you do get a month or so of people playing 915 before people switch to Endwalker. Big Ronnie, how you doing, brother? So, yeah, just to answer your question, I kind of see it as Blizzard would be punching way above their weight. I don't think Blizzard can take on Final Fantasy anymore. Not right now. Next expansion, I think Blizzard is going to gun for Final Fantasy. I think next expansion, we're going to get balls to the wall content. Like, I genuinely believe that. The next expansion is going to be off the fucking hook. But this expansion, Shadowlands, right now, it cannot compete with Final Fantasy. It doesn't have the ability to do so. It doesn't have the content. It doesn't have the fun required to contend with something like Final Fantasy. Blizzard should now try to contend with just making the game playable for those who still actually play the game. Because I don't know if they're even going to be able to get people back. There's so many people that is so angry with Blizzard right now that they might actually... they may actually struggle to get anyone back right now. I mean, I'm not signed up for WoW at all. I'm not paying the subscription, and I'm probably not going to be back for 915. Not going to be dishonest here. I am likely not coming back for 915. So 915 won't either. November 16th is a safe release. No overlap. Apocalypse 915 is going to have a lot of content, though. Don't. I mean, they're bringing back so much old content. The 915 is actually going to have quite a bit of content because they are in many ways doing the right things as far as I'm concerned. There is a bunch of great things that they're doing in this patch that I think is going to be a lot of fun for a lot of people. Sadly, I did those things when they were fucking relevant. So, you know, for me, Yuka, it's not that I can't afford it. I can afford... I mean, just to be clear, I paid a 6-month subscription for NA WoW. I paid a 6-month subscription for Final Fantasy. Not for Final Fantasy, for European, for EU WoW. And I paid a subscription for Final Fantasy. I have a subscription for ESO. I have a subscription to Microsoft Game Pass. I have a subscription to EA, their service. I have a subscription to Ubisoft. I basically have subscriptions for fucking anything, right? I'm more than happy to pay when you deserve my money. So it's not a case of I don't have the money. It's a case of I will not give you money if you don't deserve my money. Because it is my money. I work hard for that money. Well, hard is a relative term, but I do earn that money. So I'm not willing to waste it if you're not willing to make me pay for it. Like, you have to force me to pay for it, right? And by force, what I mean is you must make it so good that I have no choice but to play it. If you're not willing to do that, then I'm not willing to give you my money. And to answer your question there, it's not my job, Yuka Bazooka, to make sure that Blizzard doesn't die. It's Blizzard's job to make sure that Blizzard doesn't die. It's not my job. As a consumer, my job is to consume things that I feel morally fine with consuming. I do not feel fine anymore consuming Blizzard products. I hope that Blizzard takes down the faction barrier and let people play with their friends across factions. I get it's a problem story-wise, but in some cases, gameplay should trump story. I think it's a problem, Agent. So thank you very much for the first time chat, by the way. But also, the faction stories in World of Warcraft isn't just a story element, it's also a gameplay element, right? So to say that in some cases gameplay should trump story, if you remove the faction barriers within World of Warcraft, you also remove a bunch of gameplay elements, right? Suddenly you have to come up with a new reason why dungeons exist, why battlegrounds exist, why arenas exist. From a story perspective, arenas exist because the mightiest warriors are taking each other on and trying to beat each other back. There's a lot of gameplay elements that gets designed around the faction barriers. Now, where I would agree with you is that I believe that the racial restrictions should be removed from factions. I believe that factions is a good thing in World of Warcraft. I do not believe that when you're an orc, you are automatically Horde. That I feel like is the biggest issue for me. All characters, basically all races in World of Warcraft should become like pandas. You start as neutral, up to level 10. At level 10, you make a choice. I want to join the Horde, I want to join the Alliance, and you go. You go off and you be merry with whatever you want to be, right? That fixes the balancing issues within the Alliance and Horde, right? Because right now, for a lot of people, the Horde is still slightly overpowered. The Horde does have sometimes better racials, depending on the race. So a lot of people are sort of, especially if you're a raider, you're sort of forced into Horde, right? That would fix that shit, right? And it would allow you to keep the faction fantasy alive. And it would probably allow you to make the faction fantasy far better. Because you'd have to come up with a reason for players to want to join the Alliance or for players to want to join the Horde. Outside of just, I want to be a human, therefore I'm going to be Alliance. Right? Because now I have to make a choice. So why am I joining the Alliance versus why am I joining the Horde? So it allows you to play more into the story of these two and the ideology of these two factions. Which I think is just overall much better. So to break it down, I would fix World of Warcraft by simply saying, nope, no more racial barriers, the factions still stand, but I make the factions far deeper with more ideological differences. Boom. Fix the game.
I think limiting me from playing with people in another faction is ridiculous in law. I am the savior of the world, but the faction leaders want to have any say on me? WTF, if I did not save them, some of them are now in Torghast. Some others are killed by N'Zoth, and the rest killed by Legion.
Zig, the problem with that argument is it's not the faction leaders that's limiting you from playing with people from other factions. It's literally how it was supposed to be. So if you started in Classic, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But there was a time where if you were a Horde player, you actively despised the Alliance. You hated the Alliance. That's why you went Horde. I can't stand the Alliance. There was a time where I would want to kill every Alliance player I could see because they're fucking Alliance. They are the enemy. Because I came from Warcraft 2 and Warcraft 3, where you knew why these factions loathe each other. If you rolled a human, you knew exactly why you despised the orcs, why you wanted to slaughter the orcs. Right? If you were Forsaken, you knew exactly why you hated these players, and you wanted to kill them. So it's not a case of the faction leaders limiting you from actually being able to play with other people from another faction. It's that the story itself should force you not to want to play. The problem is that Blizzard have made the factions too same, and now people don't really see the difference between the factions anymore. During vanilla, mainly because they were so aggro and campy. Yes, that was us. The Grey, that was us. Yeah. As a Horde player, you would kill basically any Alliance player you could see. Especially if they were low level and they were trying to level in Strangleform Veil. That was death. If you were an Alliance player in Stranglethorn Vale, you were dead. Guaranteed all the time. No questions asked. I personally slaughtered... this was way back in the day. I was level... I think it was level 52 or something, like 53 maybe. And they'd be low levels. And I would go out of my way to stop questing just to slaughter the low level. I don't want the factions to be removed. I just want the factions to be better. I want the factions to be better, but not removed.
You look like you've lost some weight. That's terrible. Have a dumpling.
But my ideology is neither Horde nor Alliance. My ideology is I will do whatever I want. Also, some NPC does not fit into any of the factions. For example, Gallywix. Horde and Alliance both care about honor, just different types of honor, but Gallywix just want money.
Zigzags, but this is exactly why I'm saying they should reaffirm ideology. This is why I've always said that Blizzard should actually change the factions from Horde v Alliance to Light v Void or something to that, right? So what I'm talking about is Blizzard should rewrite the ideology for both of the factions. They should write a strong ideology within both of these factions. So you can think of this as Democrat versus Republican, right? There is a very strong ideological bend why some people vote Democrat and why some people vote Republican. These ideological bends have been built into the people that vote for it. And a person that votes Democrat can almost never imagine voting Republican, vice versa. This is what you need within the Horde and the Alliance. You need very strong ideological reasons why someone will play. I'm not saying make the fucking Alliance Democrat and the Horde Republican or anything like that. I'm saying it should be on a similar sort of scale where I know why I picked the Horde, because the Horde resonates with how I view the world and how I want World of Warcraft to play. They are my faction. And I do not agree with the Alliance because they do not do what I want them to do. Which is why I sort of said it would be great if Blizzard did Horde, Light versus Void. Because the Light and the Void have very clear reasons why they do not like one another. And you could turn the two factions into a Light v Void faction, and players would know exactly why they're choosing specific things. That would be my dream, at least, for World of Warcraft. There's actually a video I wanted to show you guys. I don't care about showing you the whole video, but this is...
That's terrible. Have a dumpling.
ReAccolonn, if we are to consider Warcraft 3 instead of Wii, it would be Azerothians against Undeads, instead of Horde versus Alliance. Today, the division seems hollow. Off the record, sent you the playlist on Discord.
Brandon, thank you very much. Really appreciate that, dude. And you are correct, but also at the same time, you should think of my faction examples, like the things that I want for factions, you should think of them as wish lists that come with a hell of a lot of work. So these aren't just wish lists that is sort of one and done, right? These are wish lists that would come with an incredible amount of work that Blizzard would have to put in to make sure that these factions are different enough from one another, right? That would be the hope, at least for me. I wanted to... Here we go. I wanted to show you guys this video because this video is one of the most perfect examples of what is wrong with World of Warcraft currently. So this is from the creator Sync Weaver, right? And my new player experience in World of Warcraft as a Final Fantasy player and why I'm done. Now, pay attention to what this guy has to say, because we've spoken about this a million times on this channel. And what makes me happy about this is I called this. I said from the beginning, this is what new players will experience within World of Warcraft. This is why new players aren't playing the game anymore. I made that video. I made that video. Let me just do this. Just want to show you guys. I made this fucking video, and I said it in this video before I even watched this guy's video. Sexually stating, fuck the pacer test. I don't know what the pacer test is. This video discusses exactly what this guy says. It's not as long though. It's about 16 minutes, right? But this video discusses exactly what this guy has to say. So listen to this. On the video, I want everyone to know that I am currently aware of the allegation brought forward from California to Activision Blizzard. This video was being made before the lawsuit, and my opinions in the video do not reflect the current situation at Activision Blizzard. I will however add my opinion on the whole thing at the end of this video. I want to express my condolences to the victims and the long-time workers over at Activision Blizzard, especially the female employees who were the majority of the abused. As I said prior to the end of this video, I will have my opinion on the matter and what I'll be doing moving forward with WoW content. Yeah, Intensifies, how you doing?
Hi, I'm Syncweaver, and I'm a Final Fantasy XIV player. By this time, I have redone, reshot, rewrote, and rethought how I was going to present my new player experience to the world in a fashion that wasn't going to upset the majority of fans in both the World of Warcraft fanbase and possibly the Final Fantasy fanbase. I quickly realized, however, that the fanbase I really had to look out for were the World of Warcraft fans that had a huge opinion on the game as it currently stands.
I can't stand the game. I can't stand the people who play it. I can't stand the content creators who are still simping for it because all of their money depends on it. So they stand around and pretend like they're not talking shit about other games to disguise the fact that they're terrified. Because it's the only way that they have to cope. I'm fucking sick of it, dude. I'm fucking sick of it. I'm fucking sick of the WoW community. I'm fucking sick of that shit company. I'm fucking sick of that shit game. I'm sick of putting so much of my time, energy.
I just find it funny that he was like, I very quickly realized that the community I really have to watch out for is the World of Warcraft community. These dudes are fucking nuts.
And love into that fucking universe to have it all crumble around me because perverted mid-30-year-old and 40-year-old men can't keep their fucking hands to themselves.
I wanted to be able to convey my feelings and at the same time not push too many boundaries so that my comment section doesn't end up a war zone like so many others who put out their opinions on the internet for the world to see like an open book idiot. And trust me, I know I'm an idiot when it comes to WoW for the most part, but I want to preface this again. I am a new player, and this is my new player experience. I may have not made it to endgame or obtained any good gear or had done any raids or the mini dungeons from Wrath of Legion. I also never joined any guilds, had the opportunity to craft much, or experience all of Shadowlands, but this is still a new player's experience and should be seen as someone getting into the game and not someone who has already beaten the game. With that being said, I plan to talk about my ventures through the story, as the narrative is very important to me in video games such as World of Warcraft. I'd expect the story itself would keep a hold on me, but what I found out while playing through Shadowlands and BFA was something I personally can compare to jumping in the middle of a new playing film, which is on its 5th sequel. I will be talking.
What did I say? What have I said this whole fucking time? If you're a new player in World of Warcraft, you don't have a fucking clue what this game is about. Not a clue. You're introduced to a game, you're introduced to people that you couldn't give two fucks about. You don't know why you should care. It's exactly why every single player right now that cares about the lore looks at Shadowlands and goes, who gives a fuck? I don't know shit about the Shadowlands. I couldn't care less about these Eternal ones. Why do they matter? Why should they fucking matter to me?
talking about the system and how I've been interacting with quests, events, and other gameplay mechanics that I, as a new player, have experienced thus far, though I can say that mostly everything functions as it should. I have seen a few graphical hiccups here and there, and honestly, as an old game, I get it. Last, I'll be talking about my overall view of World of Warcraft as a new player. I may come from Final Fantasy XIV as of this video, but if you remember from my last video, which you should go and watch, I have what might be an unhealthy amount of MMOs under my belt. I've played Fly for Fun, for fuck's sake. And remember,
I have not played Fly for Fun, for fuck's sake. Just want to be clear.
this is all from the viewpoint of a new player's experience. This does not mean I have to be at in-game or have played all the content in the expansion. I couldn't even if I wanted to anyway. This means that what I'm going through is not in-game experience or whole game experience, which I would count if I had played through all the content or made it to in-game. But we'll see if I have the push for in-game by the time I make it to the end of this video.
I still get chills whenever I hear that music. Whenever I hear that music, it's the one thing you can't take away from World of Warcraft. The music is fucking epic. Whenever I hear that music, I'm still going, let's do this. Let's kill some shit. For the Dark Lady, dude.
So, how do I begin this scrapbook style story narrative as a new player? Well, let's talk about BFA. Functionally, BFA was supposed to be the expansion where everything would go back to zero. Essentially, it would be Alliance versus Horde once again, and that was what I was feeling during the cinematics, the NPC voice-acted scenarios, and the fact that every Alliance member is hard racist to everything Horde. And trust me when I say that both sides aren't good if you play the other side. While on the Alliance side, which was the only experience I had while playing, the Horde seemed to have been coming up with plans at certain locations around these new sets of islands. The point of my character, who is called the Champion, which, okay. First off, what the hell happened between me freeing myself from the Lich King and being summoned to Anduin all of a sudden? Like 3 minutes ago I was being pelted by fruit in the street, the next thing I know I'm being called the Champion. The narrative around this confused me like no tomorrow.
Imagine you're a new player, right? And you come to this game because people talk about the story. That's your experience. As a DK, if you decided to roll a DK, you all remember how it is. You get free from the Lich King, which of course has fuck all to do with you being, with anything that is happening in the game right now. You go into your capital city, people fucking hate you, and then suddenly you turn into the champion. How did that happen? How did you become the champion? Well, you don't care. No one gives a fuck. It will never be explained to you. Why? Because you're not actually the champion. This guy haven't figured that out yet. He should. He probably will. You're not the champion. You are the fucking stable boy. You are the one who does all the chores so that the story can happen for you.
Tomorrow, I actually had to ask outside help for a summary of what's going on in the story. BFA is after Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King, Cataclysm, Mist of Pandaria, Legion, and Warlords of Draenor. Death Knights, the class I decided to be, debuted in Wrath, making my character out to be either some sort of time traveler, or perhaps I just time skipped anime style to the latest expansion. Also, for those of you who may be asking, what about Chromie? He doesn't work for me. More specifically, he doesn't allow new players to go back in time and experience the past expansions authentically. That means my escapades in the Outlands were for nothing.
The Chromie time, or Chromie time specifically, is completely wrong. It shouldn't end when you hit level 50. It should be done in such a way that you experience the whole fucking game, right? That you can experience the story. It's such a horrible system at the moment.
Exploration of the Legion areas will be for nothing, because as soon as I reach level 48, the game kicks me to the current expansion. And to put credence into my explanation here, I asked Bellular when he was doing his Q&A on stream. He actually clipped the entire segment if you want to take a look, and yes, that was my question. I asked, what is the new player experience like for a while now, and he explained pretty much everything.
It's a pity that they throw you out of Chromie time, once you hit level 50. I don't know if they ever removed that.
I believe that's completely in there, where it's just, oh, you're done, out you go.
Yeah, because it's like, it's not great if you're enjoying a zone and then you're like yoinked out before you finish the quest. So that is odd.
So no context, no lore.
It should have been designed in such a way that you at least have to finish the whole fucking expansion before you can move to BFA, right? They should have made the quests in such a manner that you're gonna have to level through the whole of the expansion that you chose with Grow Me Time, and once you do the last quest of that expansion, that's when you can move on to BFA to go experience and get to max level, right? Sadly, that's not how it works.
No character growth, if any, and no explanation as to why I'm now called the champion. And before you guys write the explanation down in the comments, know that telling me why I'm called the champion is not your job. It's the game.
True! Fucking true, dude! It's not like it. I could not have said it better. It's not the job of YouTubers to try and explain the lore of the fucking game. The game should be explaining the lore of the game. The problem is that the game doesn't explain the lore of the game, and so it's up to YouTubers to try and make sense of a game that they themselves struggle to fucking understand.
Job. World of Warcraft's story, from my point of view, is very disconnected to me as a new player, and I think it's because it emphasizes on reaching in-game rather than going through a solid story, which is a damn shame.
Yes.
Imagine attending Hogwarts at year 6 or watching The Lord of the Rings on movie 3 an hour in. I'm so caught off guard about shit happening to me, I legit had a complaint in the first few minutes into BFA. That being, why the fuck was Jaina arrested? And better yet, why the hell was I arrested? Like, we're supposed to be ambassadors for Stormwind, and they just arrest our ass. Like, what the fuck, man? Oh, an even better question. Who the fuck is Jaina?
That's the problem, right? This is a new player. This new player is meant to know who the hero is that they're fighting next to. They should know the story of Jaina at least, but they don't. So how do you get a new player to give any fucks about your game?
The game doesn't explain anything about her to me. I get no synopsis, catch-up video, or even a glossary on who Jaina is. It just expects me to know. Anyway, I'm in jail, and for some...
Yeah, but dude, if they tell you these things in game, you wouldn't buy the books. You have to understand. What they want is you to be as confused as humanly fucking possible, buy all of their books, then be even more confused, then start searching out people like myself, Balula, Noble, so that we can explain what the books in the game doesn't explain, right? By breaking down cinematics that also does a piss poor job of explaining it. And of course, after all of our explanations, we will be wrong because Blizzard will just decide to change things halfway through and do something completely fucking real.
Reason, the guards were stupid enough to let us out. Well, they didn't, but it was way too easy because this Finn fellow, who I actually like, allowed us to escape. Murdering my way through the prison, Flynn and I organized a prison break and escape out the sewers. We then hitch a ride back to Cold Terrace, where I conveniently can just walk around without anyone caring, even though I would officially be a wanted fugitive, but okay. And before I go on with this, some of you may say I should be in Exile's Reach, for which I have to say, tell Blizzard that. When I started playing WoW, I chose to be a Draenei Paladin.
My job is supposed to be a speculator. That's how I started my channel. All the way back in Legion, people weren't confused about the lore of Legion. People knew exactly what the lore was about. I speculated on the future of the lore. So my job then was to go from where we are now and go, okay, where are we going next? What will be the story in the next expansion? What will be the story in the next patch? How can all of this play out? That's what I did, right? My job was never to explain the lore. The problem now is that I'm left having to explain the lore because the lore isn't explained. The biggest issue is I don't even know always how to explain the lore because half the time I'm fucking confused. Like, I am legit sitting here going, well, I can try to explain the Eternal Ones. to the extent that I even fucking understand the Eternal Ones, right? Like, I'm not even quite sure what the Eternal Ones are. So I'm going to try and explain them, but I don't know. I'm going to try and explain the cosmological forces, even though it makes less sense than it's ever made. It made more sense back in the day when we knew that there was only one cosmological map, and that was the map, and these forces had their things that they wanted to do. Now it makes even less sense. And so everyone's just sort of grasping at straws because no one has a fucking clue, and Blizzard doesn't explain what it is, right?
Worgen Death Knight, and a Night Elf Demon Hunter. None, I repeat, none of them start off in Exile's Reach for some reason. I don't know where the island is, I don't know how to get there, and I definitely don't know why I started out like this. But even if that's so, and I was supposed to start in Exile's Reach, why can't I just start in my given areas anyway? This has been a constant thing with WoW folk, and I get it, you're trying to help, but take a look at the screen and you tell me why I'm not in Exile's Reach. And look, the point is that I really don't need Tutorial Island at this point. All the starting areas were fine to play in, but I do get the concern. Exile's Reach has you on a boat going to an island looking for a lost crew, and it is here where you can gain a buttload of experience, but here's the thing, I do not care for experience, but I do care for the experience of playing the game. This means going through the story, and BFA being the go-to expansion for new players was quite the head scratcher. If you think about it, I started off in an expansion where it's Alliance versus Horde again, but where's the context as to why I'm supposed to hate the Horde if I'm on the Alliance side? No narrative means no context, meaning no interest from Sankweaver. And even so, while in
he is very lost, Lexicans, and that's the problem. World of Warcraft has become basically a clicky play experience. If you've played World of Warcraft since vanilla, right? Or at least you started in, say, Mist of Pandaria, where you were still sort of forced to start at the beginning and work your way up, you have an idea of what the fuck is going on. If you started now or even in BFA, there's no chance that you know anything about this game. And as a game that finds a lot of its allure within the lore, you can't really play the game because you have no idea. You just heard it. This guy is trying to care about the factions. Like he's told that there's a war brewing between the Alliance and the Horde, but he still doesn't even understand why he's supposed to hate the Horde. And Sync, not to worry, bro. As someone that have played this game since Classic, I don't even understand why I'm supposed to hate the Alliance. So you're not alone on that. It's sort of something that we're all struggling with right now.
Terrace, I had learned that 3 houses were MIA, and apparently it's my job to figure out why? Okay, why? I do get the help in the form of one NPC that follows me to 1 of 3 locations, but it doesn't last too long before we meet other central characters. One has me going through the Pyre Camp, which was kind of cool, and related to a lot of the theme of Kul Tiras being a sea-dwelling sanctum. Another place had me dealing with witches and the occult, and let me just tell you, the story was way too long and it overstayed its welcome.
The reason he found it way too long, and he found it to have overstayed its welcome, because I don't actually agree with this. If you played Legion, you found Drustvar incredible. But only if you played Legion. Because in Legion, your appetite for the Drust were already being whet. So by the time you reach Drustvar, you're finally going, oh my god, there's gonna be some fucking story here. There's gonna be something cool going on here. This is gonna be awesome. And don't get me wrong, Legion didn't have an overwhelming amount of Drust stuff. Here and there, bits and pieces of the Drust that allowed us to at least see what could become. And then we get to see even more when we get into BFA. But if you didn't play Legion, if you didn't know the story of Legion, if you didn't know the story of the Nightmare and how the Nightmare affects different characters and creatures, there's literally zero chance that you would have known any of this. Or that this would have mattered to you in any way, shape, or form.
I did find my first NPC glitch here, which didn't load in, but honestly, this was just so overbearing, so tiring, I got bored in this place, and we eventually found out who and why this all happened, but honestly, it took me out of the story. NPCs not loading in would start to become a constant at this point.
CCS I did, yes. I played it back on beta, so when I played the beta for BFA, I actually rolled Alliance Hunter rather than Horde, so I played the whole Alliance story on BFA in the beta.
So let that be a thing to remember. I also did my second dungeon here as well, a big monster infested manor where all types of ghastly things reside. Kind of reminds me of Hulkame Manor from Final Fantasy XIV.
It's very similar, yes.
The last place I visited had a lot to do with ships and them being built. However, it was here where I decided to pay for Shadowlands, and the game immediately told me to talk to some Bolvar guy. Now, I didn't want to over-level and become level 60 before taking on Shadowlands, so I immediately started Shadowlands at that point of time. And I could have stayed and did all of BFA, but I had a feeling I wouldn't be too interested in it. The story was already throwing me off with these...
Why wouldn't he be too interested in it? Because there was no way to hook him into it. He had literally zero interest in learning about a thing that he clearly isn't a part of. It's not that BFA was shit. The leveling experience of BFA was fucking fantastic. Leveling through BFA, I will not have anyone tell me any differently. The leveling experience in BFA was absolutely phenomenal. If you knew why you were doing it. If you understood the areas that you're going to. For the Horde, it was the ability and the opportunity to explore a long-lost troll civilization. To deal with some of the characters that we've come to know and yet we've never actually seen, like Bwansamdi becoming a massive part of the story. These were really cool things for a lot of players. The issue is, and this is, by the way, the reason I'm showing you guys this is it goes to the Shadowlands discussion that I've been having for such a long time now. Why is it that no one gives a fuck about the Shadowlands? Because every single one of us are in the Shadowlands the same way as this guy is in BFA. We're in a world that we don't know why we should care. We have no idea what this world is about. We have no real lore about this world. We're being thrust into a story, and it feels like you joined the story at the end of the story because you missed all of the setup. We have no idea why Zuval became evil. We have no idea why he was banished. We have no idea how the Shadowlands came to be. We have no idea how the Winter Queen, Tidenathrius, the Archon, or the Primus, how they built or set up this world. We have now found out, finally, halfway through the expansion, how the Arbiter became the Arbiter. We still don't really know who took down the Arbiter. None of these things have been explained. None of these things have even been hinted at prior to us actually making our way to the Shadowlands. You want to know why people are tired of Shadowlands? Because no one has a fucking clue why they should care about Shadowlands. And that's completely Blizzard's fault. I spent my life in World of Warcraft. It's basically 90% of my day is going through World of Warcraft lore and looking for bits and pieces of Warcraft lore. When I look at an expansion and I tell you I don't know why I should care, then genuinely no one knows why they should care. The only people that actually fucking care are the people who are so hopped up on copium that they've convinced themselves this is fine. The fact that I feel lost is exactly why Steve Denuza wrote it this way. He wanted me to feel completely lost and fucking sort of detached from the world. Because I'm alive and this is the realm of the dead, so clearly I shouldn't be involved in the realms of the dead because I'm alive actually.
Separate locations and their mysterious problems.
When this war began, I thought we were fighting for peace. But we're just fighting.
I would rather check out the Land of the Dead than taking hours on end with finishing a story I am not emotionally or mentally invested in. For an extra clear meaning, I was bored of the story of BFA. So onward to Shadowlands as a level 50 Death Knight. Now, Shadowlands does have an interesting story, but again, we're talking about characters I don't know being whisked away to the land of the dead without being killed or just having their souls going there by default or something. I mean, I don't know if the jailer needs them alive in the sense, but within the Shadowlands, when you die, you become fuel for the Shadowlands. Yet another cycle of life and death that happens when you die. And another cycle of life and death. Yeah, I'm not sure about this story, Captain. So apparently, I am the only one who has the ability to escape them all via these firstborn relics that had me travel to a place called Oribos, a city with keepers who tend to some giant woman called the Arbiter. Her job is to send all souls to their final destination in the afterlife, a life after death where souls are supposed to live out a new immortal life. Some go to be Grand Guardians who shepherd souls in a place called the Bastion. Some get sent to a large, violent battlefield to live out their immortal life for 5 more minutes in Maldraxxus. Some go to the center of nature as a seed or plant or a reborn soul in a place called Ardenweld. And some get sent to be punished in Revendreth, where souls are tortured until they are deemed sinless. Some are just dropped into hell, which is the Maw. There we meet the jailer who keeps our friends or important acquaintances. You know, I don't really know them so well.
No, that's not true. So I actually watched these streams. He did read the quests. I watched a bit of his video. I watched till about there, just after the Balliol stuff. About there, last night. He did read the quests. His streams are on YouTube. You can actually go check it. And it's not true that it would be resolved just by reading the quest. What we're talking about here is exposition, right? I could say the same thing by basically showing you Lord of the Rings, the third movie, right? So I show you the third movie, and then at the end of the movie, you go, wait, I don't understand what happened here. And I could go, well, it would make sense if you just watched the movie. Well, no, because you missed the first 2 movies. So it's clear that you don't have a fucking clue what just happened here. The first 2 movies were kind of important to understanding the third. That's the problem. Like, it doesn't matter whether or not you know the story of, say, BFA. If you have no idea why you should even care about the people in BFA, you're just not going to care. Doesn't matter how good the story of BFA is. You were never told why you should even give a fuck about the Alliance of the Horde, the most basic of it. You heard what this guy said. He's sent by this Lady Jaina to go do a bunch of things, and then he gets thrown in jail by this Lady Jaina. He doesn't know why he's being thrown in jail, but most importantly, he doesn't even know who the fuck this Lady Jaina is. That right there is the problem, right? From that moment forward, as soon as I can't even explain to you who the person is that you're currently experiencing the story with, how am I supposed to get you into the story? You don't even know who this fucking character is next to you. That's actually quite an important character in the lore, right? And so, you know, you're just left sort of not knowing what the hell is going on in the story.
Well, but they're locked up and tortured, Anduin especially. You do save them for about 30 minutes until you're told to leave them behind because the first one's technology only works for you, miraculously Deus Ex Machina style. That is how you get to Oribos and how you start your journey off to the different reaches of the Shadowlands by finding the firstborns and bringing them together to stop an anime shortage. I mean anima shortage. You know, I'd be in a crisis if I lost my anime too. What's anima? Well, it's a new resource that's supposedly used to help get better gear, give reason for more players to keep up the grind, and it's also what keeps the Shadowlands going, because it's fuel. You see, the Arbiter distributes the soul to their final destination. When they get there, they exude anima, the very element that souls are made of. So when you die, you become fuel for the Shadowlands nonetheless, but at least you get to essentially live forever in a new reconstructed body. So, you as the main character are out here looking for the firstborns in order to figure out how to awaken the Arbiter, while once again solving the problems that just so happen to pop up when you get there. Well, at least the excuse is anima shortage, but I still don't know how anima works and how it energizes all of Shadowlands, kind of perplexes me. I always thought the land of the dead in any genre was something very delicate for storytelling. Death is supposed to be the end, but of course there has to be an afterlife, which is fine if you establish rules that make the setting narratively easy to connect with the current universe. You just teleport there, for goodness sake. You're told about it by Bolvar and given very little information about it. You run around the mall like you own the place as soon as you get there, and almost immediately find Jaina and Thrall having a moment as you decimate your enemies into oblivion. And this wouldn't bother me so much if it wasn't for the fact that you solve so many problems so fast narratively that I honestly think that your character might just be some...
You see, this is what you also have to understand. This comes from a Final Fantasy 14 player. Let me explain to you how problems are solved in Final Fantasy over the course of fucking hours. It takes, for singular problems in Final Fantasy to be solved, can take a few hours to go through all of the quests. And this is all of the quests already being available, right? There's no patch releases or anything like that. These quests are available. It can take a few hours to solve a single problem within Final Fantasy because you have to attain to every single step within the problem-solving sort of movement before you can ultimately solve the problem. Where I actually didn't even think about this until he just said it, but it is miraculous how there will oftentimes be these incredible problems that no one can solve in the Shadowlands, but by killing 5 bears, you've just solved the problem. And you do start thinking to yourself, are you telling me that there's not a fucking NPC in this entire encampment that could go, like maybe you could send 10 and they could kill 5 bears? This problem seems to be not as big as you guys want to make it out to be.
Sort of god. But I will admit one thing. The story for World of Warcraft Shadowlands is okay. Not so exciting for me when I have no context for anything, as Blizzard expects me to beat the main story so I can use Chromie and go back in time so to relive past expansions whose stories have already been retconned in some way. Like how Kil'jaeden found the Helm of Domination only for it to have been planted there by the jailer or something. So Kil'jaeden finds the helm and uses it to make the Lich King, who would go around killing people, thereby sending their souls to the Shadowlands and fuel the jailer. But then you got Sylvanas coming out of nowhere with Deus Ex Machina powers, kicking this guy's ass, who's supposedly comparable to the Lich King. You also have this whole Lich King thing that was supposedly Kil'jaeden's idea for world conquest and how he's connected to the true enemy of Azeroth, Sargeras, until Shadowlands happened and the sword is still stuck in Azeroth's butt crack, and we're just gonna ignore this thing sticking out of her butt. Like, we're just gonna ignore this. Okay, like, BFA had almost nothing to do with Azeroth as the Titan Spirit who should be awakening or something, but no. We're chasing this guy named Zaval across the Shadowlands only to lose and eventually have Sylvanas be like, I serve no one! You've been serving the Elf Army, Arthas, the Horde, and now the Jailer for a few years now, and here, right now, you'll say you serve no one? What the fuck do you think he saw in you this whole entire time? A partner? Fuck no! He ordered your ass around like a hooker at a bachelor party.
This is a shakedown.
Mr. Blizzard, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
Blizzard.
You and 5 of those
Plot holes.
get out.
Sylvanas is the biggest confusion for me in this entire continuity. She was an elf general who Arthas turned into a banshee. She then freed herself only to use the Horde for some sinister death plot because of the jailer. Like, she is so unlikable to me, it's not even funny. And what's more, I still...
The sadness of it is, if you actually knew her story, if you actually knew her fucking story, you wouldn't find her unlikable at all. You would actually not find her unlikable. But because you never actually played her story, because you never actually saw what she went through, because you never actually, you were never actually taken on the journey, of course you're going to look at this character and go, I don't give a fuck. I could not give 2 fucks. And I don't blame anyone for that, by the way. I genuinely don't. Because at this point, I am at a place where I look at Sylvanas and I go, do whatever. They can do whatever to her. I genuinely am at the point where I couldn't care less. If Sylvanas died in the next expansion, I would not mind. Because I have everything that they could have done with Sylvanas, they didn't do. Instead, they did all the things that they shouldn't have done with Sylvanas.
I have no idea what's going on in WoW. I have no idea. Like, I get what's up in Shadowlands, and barely for BFA, but I still don't know who any of the main cast are. I still have no idea why the Arbiter broke down, and where the fuck is Illidan? He's like the only character I know because of YouTube.
You are not prepared.
You're right, Illidan. I was not prepared. And now my head hurts. Listen, let's just move on.
Gameplay. Alright. This is the one place that I would love to hear him fucking slack off WoW, because I don't think he can. I think gameplay and mechanics in World of Warcraft is actually pretty fucking cool.
So, I've heard the systems in World of Warcraft were pretty average. So average, in fact, that programs from third parties developed these things called add-ons. And to be honest, they work pretty well. As you can see, I have a more organized UI, but I'm just not feeling okay with all this. You see, when you play Final Fantasy XIV, you are not allowed to use third-party programs, not even ones that act essentially like calculators. WoW is on the other end, embracing the add-on culture almost to a giant slightly slanted T. You have so many add-ons for so many things that even
I do think the use of add-ons in World of Warcraft is a problem. I think add-ons generally ruin the original vision of what a game should be, right? And I do agree with him here. When you're a developer and you have a vision for how your game should be played, that vision is almost always inextricably linked with the game itself, right? So from the UI to the combat systems to everything will be done in such a way that it enhances the game that you're actually playing. Whereas as soon as you allow add-ons, you can allow for some pretty silly shit to be implemented into the game, and that shit can't actually be fixed. For example, things like DBM have made raiding much easier than what it was actually supposed to be. It's ruined what raiding should have been. It's ruined the idea that people should solve puzzles by learning things. Because you don't have to learn shit. DBM will just scream at you and tell you to do these things. But it also makes for lazy design, because Blizzard doesn't have to design things in such a way that it is obvious that these things need to happen in a certain way, because they know that people are going to use things like DBM. I think add-ons should be disabled in World of Warcraft. That's my personal opinion. I do think add-ons should be disabled in World of Warcraft.
and some raiders won't allow you to raid unless you have a certain add-on to help get through the harder raids. To be honest, the add-on thing isn't so offensive to me, but some add-ons like this one that shows you how to beat a boss can feel somewhat spoiling. In Final Fantasy XIV, every raid can be done by sheer grit, will, reflex, and memory. World of Warcraft's raids seem to have RNG in the mix, which can delete a raid in 3 seconds, and I'm not sure I want to be a part of that. Like, take this add-on for instance. This is supposed to be an add-on for changing your UI to look like Final Fantasy XIV's UI. Can't get it to work, but things like this is okay for me. Programs like DBM, if I said that right, seem to take the fun out of figuring out a boss in an MMO. Take, for example, I memorized everything.
Yes, it really does. One of the reasons I am in love with the raiding as well as dungeons in Final Fantasy is it's truly figuring it out. There's no add-on. There's things happen. Your first time on a boss, you're almost perplexed when you wipe. You're like, what the fuck happened? How did this happen? I was just hit by something. I don't know what hit me. And then you go, okay, wait, I should pay attention next time. And you look and you go, oh shit. Okay, that made sense. Okay, I get it now. Because bosses, by the way, I was a tank for my first play of Final Fantasy, and the game doesn't tell you when to block. It literally doesn't tell you when you should be using a defensive cooldown. DBM tells you exactly when you should use a defensive cooldown. Like, literally, you can play the whole of a raid with just looking at DBM. It tells you when to use a defensive cooldown. It tells you exactly when you should move out of things. It even screams at you when you have the voice packs downloaded. In Final Fantasy, you have to take a look at the fight, but also keep an eye on the boss's health bar and the boss's cast bar. Because if a cast bar is flashing, it means it can be interrupted. If a boss is casting something and you know this is a big damage ability, the only way for you to learn that this is something that should be blocked is once it's killed you. So it'll one-shot you, and then you'll go, oh, I probably should have moved out of that, right? Or I should have blocked it. You literally just keep doing it until you get it. And everyone in the raid does the exact same thing. You keep doing it until you get it.
He did to the point I was the call-out guy, and I loved the fight very much. It was fun figuring out how to beat him after a few raid parties. But when I see raids using DBM because of the many stupid RNG mechanics, I don't blame the player, I wholeheartedly blame the game. I heard the one who was leading WoW was a raid designer, but having RNG and bosses that can never be told as to what will happen doesn't seem quite right to me. And I know it's not in every single boss in every single raid, I know it's only in a few. But I'm just saying, if there's RNG in any kind of boss and you need a program to deal with it, well, it just doesn't feel right for me. In 14,
He makes a good point here. If at any point in time you need an add-on in order to kill, and before people go, you can do all the raids in World of Warcraft without an add-on, no, you can't. No, you can't. There have been bosses in the history of World of Warcraft where if you do not have a specific add-on, that boss becomes nearly impossible to do, if not completely impossible to do, at least theoretically impossible to do, because there's mechanics in the game that is so punishing that without an add-on, it is just not doable. Like, you will just die the whole time because it is too fucking random.
You have body language, and following said body language can help you dodge attacks that have no telegraphs. It's quite fun, but I will respect the people who made the add-on for the purpose.
It's not just Payphone's not just Archimon. You also had the dude in Nighthold, Stargazer and Nighthold. If you didn't have DBM that would put very specific marks above your head that sort of shows that you're the same and you should go to each other, that was a fuck up. We tried it once without everyone having DBM installed. I think Boss Mods actually was first. So Boss Mods had it first, and we had to have everyone switch to Boss Mods so that we could do it, because people were just running around. They weren't fucking sure where to go. Because it is so random, and it can link you with someone completely on the opposite side of the room, and you have no idea where you should go. At the end of there's actually more bosses. I just can't think of all of them now, but there's actually quite a few bosses that have very random mechanics, which, yeah, if you get hit by one of those random mechanics, if you don't have an add-on that tells you what to do with that random mechanic, you're done. And remember, it makes sense that it would work that way. Blizzard is well aware that DBM exists. Why do you think Blizzard have RNG? Because they're trying to make the fights hard, knowing that people use DBM. You see, if people didn't use DBM, they wouldn't have to have these incredible raid-wide wipe mechanics, because normal mechanics would be hard enough, because no one has DBM. The fact that people have DBM, an add-on that basically plays their game for them, means that Blizzard have to come up with other ways to make the fights harder to combat the use of DBM in the game.
purpose of the whole RNG thing, or because it can just be a bit frustrating. Another issue I kept running into was the sheer amount of mobs that would be in your way for almost every quest you go on. Sometimes I want to leave. I don't have flying, and enemies seem to lock onto your character where you might just want to go and slow you down when they hit you. And to be honest, I wouldn't complain about this at all if it wasn't for the fact that almost every quest you go on, you need to go through mobs for whatever reason, and their lock-on and their range is unbelievably far. And it doesn't even matter what quest you're on. You could be finding somebody, you could be trying to locate an item, it doesn't matter. There's always a mob there to stop you and get in your way. Again, I wish WoW had a line of sight system so you could just sneak behind a mob without triggering them. Like, even from behind, they just know, hey, I'll just slip behind you, buddy. And no. Some mobs have eagle vision and can climb wall faces like it ain't no thing, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Line of sight these mofos, please. What's interesting is how things are virtually the same if expansions mean anything in terms of quest activity. You talk to NPC, you accept quests from NPC who now have an immersion window due to the immersion mod. You kill things, find things, click things, rinse and repeat. It's just about the same as the last expansion on what you do, but to be—
What did I say yesterday? What was my rant about yesterday? No one should ever tell me that Blizzard needs a questing department. They don't. The people in the questing department do fucking nothing. They have no work. They basically just chill and then copy-paste a bunch of shit at the beginning of every expansion.
To be fair, all MMOs suffer from this stagnation. Final Fantasy XIV also suffers from quests being stagnant. The same kill monster quest, find items, find NPC, go to location, and blah blah blah. The only difference is the story significance it has in the area. Sometimes doing side quests can change the NPC and location layout as though you actually did something in the area. WoW, on the other hand, doesn't have that for their side quests, but for the main story quests only. Side quests have you interacting in the—
I would say, to some extent, yes. I think that's one of the reasons I don't mind the quest so much in Final Fantasy, because your actions have very visible impacts on the world around you. And I would say that while some quests in World of Warcraft, some main quests in World of Warcraft, can change certain things to showcase progression, a lot of the time it doesn't really, right? A lot of the time there is no visible progression as you're completing main storyline quests for World of Warcraft.
Area mostly through mobs and interactable quest-specific items that disappear once clicked. Most of them respawn for other players to complete their quest, but that's par for the course. The quests feel kinda similar to BFA, but it's not really a bother to me. I just wish the side quests were more important to the surrounding area, but maybe I'm not looking in the right place, or I'm looking far too into quest functionality. Well, it's not all that important compared to the game's inner system itself. When you have a special event happening in a location, you usually see some loading by the NPCs. They may actually disappear right in front of you, and I'm always caught off guard by that. Perhaps it means to load the event from further away so the player doesn't notice. It would help keep the immersion while playing the game, because so far that kind of programming is evidence of some early MMO lazy developing. Another odd thing is how you can just walk right into a dungeon without a word or warning. Dungeons in World of Warcraft are not to be done alone now, since the level crunch and all, but far too often do I find myself walking to a dungeon and then whoops, I'm dead. 14 pretty much forces you to use a party finder through something called a duty roulette. It's very similar to Dungeon Finder, so I know the
duty roulette is probably one of the best things ever implemented into World of Warcraft, into Final Fantasy, and it's something that I wish World of Warcraft would have, because the duty roulette in Final Fantasy basically opens up all of the dungeons that the game has ever had, right? Like, all of it is just right there for you. And you can basically, you can do all of it with low-level players, new players. It scales your level. It's really fucking cool. I don't necessarily, Captain Swanky, my point here isn't to say that you shouldn't be able to walk into dungeons if you want to do them. I can see how for a new player it might be sort of weird, right, to walk into a dungeon and you maybe didn't know that this was a dungeon. You thought maybe this was just, especially if you come from Final Fantasy, where a lot of the time you'll go into new areas and there will be a loading screen to go into the new area. So you might just think this is a different area, You're walking into it because this is a different area, right? And now you realize, wait a second, these mobs are fucking destroying me. How are they destroying me? Where the fuck am I right now? So I can see that. We can forgive that for a new player from Final Fantasy coming into World of Warcraft. But I do think that the duty roulette would be an amazing addition for World of Warcraft to open the game a little bit more.
Concept, but why can players walk into dungeons like that? I just don't know. Perhaps a relic of the past where people would form parties outside the dungeon? I really don't know. The Dungeon Finder is a great way to queue up for parties going through whatever expansion you set yourself on. Debuted in Wrath, the Dungeon Finder allows for a player to choose random or specific dungeons they wish to play in. You are randomly set with 4 other people in a party and you go inside a dungeon that is within your level. The problem here is that I only had access to Shadowlands and BFA, and I'm not really too sure why I can't go into past dungeons. Here I'm showing it on the screen right now just to show proof. 14 had you unlock dungeons so that you were proper level when going through the Duty Finder. WoW just lets you go in even if the story wasn't caught up to it, meaning I can go into a dungeon that was supposed to be done in the future due to story, and here I'm wondering why they would allow that. I only have to be the right level in order to get into the dungeon. Story does not really matter in this case. Perhaps to get me to max level faster, I wasn't too sure, but what I can say is that since you have a Dungeon Finder, why have open entrances to dungeons in the first place? This seems like either...
Well, I would say that it's actually quite immersive, right? Knowing that those dungeons are in the world, but also what he needs to understand, most of this is built for people who want to do it afterwards, right? Old content to farm that. So it's actually a way to keep the content alive for people that wants to do it for like transmogs and shit like that. Although you can actually do that in Final Fantasy through the Duty Finder. Like, you're actually capable of going in Duty Finder, signing up for a dungeon, like an old dungeon, and basically opening it completely. So you say, I want to stay at my level with all of my abilities, all of my powers. I just want to smash this shit, right? I just want to smash through this dungeon, pull the whole dungeon and just kill everything. You can do that with the Duty Finder.
Lazy design, or perhaps there was a point to it, and if there is, please tell me, because far too many times have I just waltzed right into a dungeon without knowing it was a dungeon and getting my ass handed to me on a platter with a side of salt. Again, I think it's to form a party outside. I just don't know why they have the dungeon open. It's far too powerful for any single person to go through, especially Legion and up. Leveling. So, leveling is easy. It's way too easy. It's so easy that I literally made it to level 50 in a matter of a few days of playing WoW. And I was in BFA the whole time. And not only that, I wasn't even halfway finished the expansion from what I was told. This makes me feel like leveling wasn't even meant to have been an experience for new...
Shay, I have a problem with that argument, with that attitude, really. So basically you're saying if someone has problems with World of Warcraft, they should just fuck off back to Final Fantasy. That very argument will be why World of Warcraft dies within the next decade. That's the problem that I have when I hear people literally just sort of have this argument of, oh, you don't like our fucking game, then get the fuck out. The dude is making an argument as someone who's never played WoW and is experiencing WoW for the first time. And what he's asking for is simple explanations that the game should give him for why certain things happen the way that it happens. Right? That's all he wants. He wants to know that, okay, why is the dungeons open? Let me at least explain to me why the dungeons are open. Explain to me what is happening. Now, you could look at this and say, oh, he's just complaining to complain. You're taking this far too personal. He's not attacking you. He's attacking a game that is currently not doing its best job of getting new players into the game. And you also have to understand, this is on the back of a bunch of complaints that he's had already with the game beforehand. And Nickers, it's dumb to you because you've played WoW since fucking Classic or whenever you started. This is a brand new player who literally just came from Final Fantasy to try out World of Warcraft. You should look at it as someone that is coming in, and you should actually ask yourself if he's having these experiences, How many other players are just not sticking with WoW? Because I'll tell you what, this guy managed to make it to level 55 before he quit World of Warcraft. How many thousands of players do you think do the exact same thing? They make it to level 50, level 55, and they are, this is a fucking shit game. I'll go play something else. Because I understand fuck all of this game. I understand nothing. They've explained nothing. I don't have any idea what the story is about. At the end of the day, if your argument is, well, then fuck back to your game, then you should be ready for World of Warcraft to die. Because, newsflash, games only survive if they can bring new players into the game. If you can't bring new players into the game, your game dies. It's really that simple. And right now, World of Warcraft has a tremendous problem with bringing new players into the game. Because most new players will go exactly through this experience that this guy is having right now.
New players coming to WoW. Like, when I was little and I heard about WoW and how reaching max level was an achievement for so many people because the leveling process was actually an experience, I was hoping to feel the same thing via the story, like leveling with the story along the way. But no, leveling with the story is if you ignore the side quests and focus on the main quest the whole entire time. And even if you follow the story, you will still over level. I hardly touched the side quests in Shadowlands, only doing them when I reached a
Okay, Shay, your argument now is you're literally taking this. If I thought that you were doing it on purpose, I would say stop building strawmen. Although I don't think you're doing it on purpose. I think you're just completely attacking the wrong argument. But you are building a strawman. A game is not hard when it's impossible to figure out. That doesn't make it hard. It makes it annoying, frustrating, and people leave. A game is hard when it can be figured out, the tools are given to you to figure it out, and you are then allowed to use those tools to figure it out. A game is not hard when no tools are given you. You're basically dropped into the game and said, hey, have fun. There you go. And if you were here from the beginning, you would understand why this guy is complaining about so many things. I don't agree with all of his complaints. I don't. I think some of his complaints just, might be a little bit of bias, might be a little bit weird and a little bit off. But his complaints come off the back of being dropped into Battle for Azeroth, not having a clue what the story of Battle for Azeroth was, bored out of his skull with Battle for Azeroth, then being dropped into Shadowlands, and even less fucking explanation of what Shadowlands is supposed to be. Of course he's going to be fucking annoyed and upset, because he has no idea what's going on here. He has no idea what is going on here. I think actually he would have. If he went back and he played vanilla World of Warcraft, he would actually have loved it. Because in vanilla World of Warcraft, the game is much harder than what modern day World of Warcraft is, but the tools are given to you and you're led on the journey of figuring it out. They don't just assume that you will know these things. You actually uncover and discover the things at the time when you're ready to discover it. So you're basically eased into the game. That's the thing that most of you seem to miss here. This guy wasn't eased into the game. He was basically dropped into the middle of a story and said, go. Go do whatever. I guarantee you most new players will quit. Most new players will leave World of Warcraft because there's no tool, there's no reason to learn these things. And even if there were a reason to learn these things, there's no way to learn these things. Unless, of course, you're one of those players that's just going to start from Quest 1, do all of the quests for Classic, all of the quests for TBC, all of the quests for Wrath, all of the quests for Kata, Mr. Pandaria, Warlords of Draenor, Legion, BFA, and Shadowlands. So you're basically taking the approach, I will hit max level, and I'll just keep going because that's what I'm supposed to do. Even though no one told me that that is what I'm supposed to do. That's the problem.
A wall on my journey when I couldn't find a quest to do, and even there I had no idea how to advance the story until someone showed me that the map of all things was how I figured out what level I was supposed to be for the next story quest. And to be honest, I was fine being at that wall because at that time I could actually do a side quest or two and experience something. Now, that's not so bad, but I hate not seeing a purpose for the side quests. In Final Fantasy XIV After a Realm Reborn, side quests became a great way to gain experience for almost soloing the story. The experience you gained was enough to advance the plot and have almost no wall to hit. Dungeons were story relevant, and side quests even had story significance. You'd learn more about your surrounding area, its history, the NPC, and why they are here, and even—
I agree with you, Ilithus. But I've said this so many times, and some people agree, some people disagree. But most people that disagree with that is people who don't give a fuck about new player experience. They just don't want their experience hindered. But you should have a level 1 to level 50 literal new redesigned experience for players to level through. And it should be unskippable. It should be there. You have to fucking do it because you have to know the story of Classic, the story of TBC, the story of Wrath. You have to know these stories so that by the time you reach the new expansion, you actually know why the expansion matters. The problem is that the vast majority of people hear that and they go, oh my god, I will not fucking do that. No, I will not do it. Not realizing it's not for you. It's not meant for you. It's meant for the new player. It's meant for the guy who literally just bought World of Warcraft, who has no fucking clue. This guy said it at the beginning of his video. He didn't even know who Jaina was. He was escaping a prison with Jaina. He was thrown in prison with Jaina, and he didn't even know who Jaina was. He had no idea. Here he is, Jaina. I'm in a prison now with this bitch, and I have no idea who she is. Should I care? Should I not care? Who's she? Anduin. I don't know who he is. He ran into Stormwind. They were throwing fruit at him as a DK. 2 seconds later, he's being referred to as the champion. And he's like, how did that happen? I was just most hated, and now I'm the fucking champion. Okay, I guess that makes sense. Even though I did nothing to be the champion. I don't know why I'm the champion. Who am I in this fucking game? That's the problem with World of Warcraft.
even hidden lore about people and places, whereas WoW, you get almost none of that. It's mostly an NPC trying to do something, and you need to help them out by either doing the simplest of tasks or juggernaut level impossible tasks, narratively speaking, that they somehow know that you can do, like killing 30 mobs and steal their souls, or infiltrate the main base of their enemy, or find something important and kill the leader while you're doing this, especially after they said the leader was super dangerous. Hi, Syncweaver from the future, and after going over this entire video that is almost an hour long, I have found that I need to correct myself at this point in time. To elaborate what I mean about the side quest and how it's not correlating with the story, I'm going to admit and say that I am wrong. What I felt with the whole entire side quest is that it just felt kind of disconnected throughout the entirety of BFA and Shadowlands, but that's not true. The main story quest is fine, they are directly connected to the story, whereas the side quest felt like they weren't so connected, but they actually are. They're all connected. Every single side quest, either BFA, Legion, doesn't matter, Shadowlands, it doesn't matter. They're all connected. What I was feeling was a sort of rush, and I felt as though that the side quest didn't mean too much of anything.
I can actually agree with that, although in some ways I still think he isn't completely wrong. There are side quests that really have very little to do with the main storyline. Even though that is sometimes fine, right? You can have side stories that really have nothing to do with the main story. It's just a story on the side, which is actually something that I would have loved in World of Warcraft, even in Final Fantasy. More side stories. So these are stories that's completely on their own. It's like 10 quests that you just sort of do, and it tells its own little story. It's really fun. You don't have to do it, but it's sort of fun, right? It's fun to see this sort of off the beaten path story that has nothing to do with the main game. I would love to see stories like that in World of Warcraft, actually in most games, where I think side quests are criminally misused in video games today. Most side quests are simply there to make the world feel more full, to make it feel like there's more to do, rather than making side quests an actual part of the story. And an actual story to experience as you go through it. But I will say I can see where his confusion came in, and it goes back to something he said earlier in the video, which is in World of Warcraft, sort of catastrophic solutions or problem solving happens extremely quickly, right? You start playing World of Warcraft, you have a problem, the problem is solved within 2 minutes, and you continue with the new problem, which creates that sense of rush, right? Oh my god, let's go. We have to solve all of the problems, and it takes us 10 minutes to solve all of the problems. Whereas, like I said, in Final Fantasy, you have none of that. In Final Fantasy, a problem can take a very long time to solve. And you have to strap in. For the vast majority of the problems, strap the fuck in. Because it's not solving it for you. You are solving the problem, but it's going to take you hours to do this. World of Warcraft needs more things like that. Not superficial fucking time gates, but actual problem solving that takes you on a journey to solve the problem, rather than just kill 10 of this, kill that mob, and problem solved. Let's move on to the next problem.
They didn't correlate with the story, and that was a lot in BFA, but they were correlating to the story. It just, veered off a little bit. It just didn't connect right away. Just didn't feel like everything was, narratively speaking, all put together correctly. So I do apologize for that. I didn't mean to say that the side quests weren't connected to the story. I just meant that they felt disconnected and diffused in some form or fashion. It just felt that way. They're all connected. They're all there. I just felt a little rushed and disconnected from the story at that time, so I do apologize for that. I will say, however, if I'm going to add on to this, when I talked about the mechanics and the systems, I mainly wanted to talk about the core and how everything functioned as a game in terms of WoW, moving your character, teleporting, all that other good stuff. I do talk about the systems, but I'm not far enough to know about the whole in-game systems, like artifacts or corruptions or whatever that you have to collect. I'm not there. I never got to that point. So that's more context for that. So I do apologize for that too. Sorry about all this. Let's get back to the video. Well, the rewards are usually pretty useful for keeping up with the story, but sometimes I feel a bit overpowered in some cases, almost like the game wants to hurry me up to the end and enjoy its award-winning.
This is a problem that I have spoken about so often in World of Warcraft. The feeling that you're supposed to be fighting bosses that's on your level, but they're bosses, right? So they're actually supposed to be above your level, right? This is supposed to be a boss of this, let's say, final zone. You should struggle with that fight, right? Because this is a fucking boss. You're not a boss yet. You're still working your way up to becoming a boss. And more often than not, you just end up really 3-4-shotting stuff. Bosses present little to no trouble, especially if you're well geared, if you have the right gear. It's easy. Gets too easy after a while. Almost nothing presents a problem. And if you're playing a warlock, nothing presents a fucking problem.
Winning raids and in-game dungeons. And in that case, I don't like how rushed I feel, but I do love the rewards in the sense of speed I feel while I'm progressing through the quests. I feel as though that the story was kind of an afterthought to them. Now, from the way I've been nitpicky, you could assume that I dislike the mechanics in WoW, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. In fact, I think the mechanics hold up even after so many years of service. I've said before that I've felt rushed being pushed to the end where the actual game is being played. I can find reasons as to why people would prefer to make it to max level faster when playing an MMO. This is because of people who really don't care for the story. And unfortunately, that's not me. I've met plenty who thought...
You see, this is, I think, one of the key moments here. This is that thing where... I said to you guys at the beginning when he started talking about mechanics, I told you, I do not at any given point believe that World of Warcraft has bad mechanics. In fact, I think World of Warcraft to this day might be one of the best games when it comes to mechanics and gameplay. The gameplay is smooth, it feels impactful, it's great. It doesn't mean that it doesn't have issues. And a lot of the issues he highlighted here, I can see as being extremely pertinent to new players. So a lot of these issues that he highlighted here, I didn't think of those issues as a veteran. Because as a veteran, these issues would never even occur to me. I would look at these issues and go, what are you talking about? Like many of you in chat did. But you have to look at it through the lens of a new player. Someone who's never played the game. and understand why they're experiencing so many fucking issues within the game and its mechanics. But even then, I do think that with all of the criticism that you can lob, World of Warcraft mechanics is still some of the best in the business. They still know what the fuck they're doing when it comes to mechanics and gameplay.
The Final Fantasy XIV story was not interesting and has in many cases made the choice to boost to a higher level, and that's fine if that's your prerogative, but as a warning to those who wish to rush to endgame, you will have a much tougher time trying to figure out how the usual game mechanics work. And it is this right here where I can compare how I had no idea what the heck I was doing in any dungeon WoW threw me into for the first time in Shadowlands. Boosting to 50 may not yield much of a difficulty, but 60 and 70 is another thing when it comes to 14. And this is how I felt the whole entire time. However, this may not apply to everyone, and so I leave only a warning to those who want to boost, whether you are in WoW or Final Fantasy. As for me, I think mechanically, WoW as an MMO is showing its age, but it still holds up. So I've said before that the combat felt snappy.
I don't even think it's showing its age. I think it's a number of bad decisions, because what he needs to understand here is World of Warcraft has gone through a number of redesigns that have led us to this bad space within World of Warcraft. There is no way that you were a new player in TBC, Wrath, or Vanilla and didn't know what the fuck you were doing by the time you reached endgame. Because the game put you through your paces. Leveling up was quite hard. You were pushed. You had to know what the fuck you were doing. It was the redesigns that eventually made it to where a player can reach max level in World of Warcraft and have zero clue what their rotation is supposed to be, what they're supposed to do, even what their role is supposed to be in the game. Zero clue, because the game never fucking pushes you to learn those things. For the most part, the vast majority of the quests will have you press 1 to 2 of your buttons at all times. You'll rarely, if ever, need to use any of your survivability spells, your escape spells, your movement spells. None of that shit will ever be used in the game. The only people I ever see using abilities like that, we can talk about something as simple as interrupt mechanics. How often have any of you done low-level dungeons while you're leveling up with brand new players? And you can immediately see who the new players are and who the old school players are. I usually end up being the only person that interrupts the boss, because I know at endgame that shit is important. You have to keep an eye on interrupts. You don't have to. I do it just automatically, because when I see a bar that can be interrupted, I fucking interrupt it, right? It's automatic. I see the bar, I interrupt it, because it has to be interrupted. This is a bar that can be interrupted. You're not punished enough if you don't. So a new player doesn't learn that, hey, interrupt mechanics is actually part of my class. My class can interrupt, and my class should interrupt when it can interrupt. And that's a silly little example of a much larger issue.
Being more responsive compared to Final Fantasy. I'm not thinking that the combat is much better than I thought, but it's still aligned with what I said before. Not saying that either is bad. It'd be like judging toasters that both did the job and got it done, but one was exactly 1 second faster than the other, and the exact result was the same for the second toaster. It doesn't matter which toaster I use as long as I get my waffle. I need it for chicken. The combat feels good, just as 14 felt good too. I would say other games does combat much better, but for top-of-the-line MMOs like these, I felt that WoW was fast and paced.
See, I don't actually... This is the one part that I do actually disagree with him. This is the one part that I do actually disagree with him. To my mind, Final Fantasy and World of Warcraft does combat exactly how I want it in an MMO. I don't like action combat. I find action combat incredibly tedious for me. I prefer tab targeting. So yeah, this is the one part that I will just absolutely disagree with him. I don't think that any other game does combat as well as Final Fantasy or as World of Warcraft for respective differences. They're not the same, but I like both of their combat designs. class design is a different discussion, where I think Final Fantasy leaves World of Warcraft in the dust. But for combat design, I think WoW and Final Fantasy does the job that I wanted to do. I prefer tab targeting. I don't want to do action combat, and for those of you that don't understand why, I'm playing at 200 plus MS. Action combat is miserable for me because I play from South Africa. So if I want to hit something, I have to also figure out what the latency is going to be and then aim exactly at the place that they're going to be or that they were in order to actually hit the thing. Because I'm not going to be able to hit it if I aim on top of them. Now, there are games like ESO that have made it sort of easy, so it's sort of snapshots, and if you were on the target at the time of casting, it will still hit, but even then, it can be really finicky, and you still manage to miss certain spells just because you can't actually fucking hit it because your MS is just too high. So for me, personal opinion, I prefer tab targeting. As a design philosophy.
Which gave a feeling of snappy action. Final Fantasy XIV isn't as fast in terms of GCDs, but people soon realize that when you reach level 70, you're now using a kit that requires the use of off globals in between standard globals. This is also present in WoW, but I feel it's not as prevalent in there as it is in 14. Where 14 has you doing one off global as a usual thing, skill players are often using what is called double weaving. That's when you use 2 off globals between your standard global. This is a very usual thing when it comes to the raiding scene. Hell, some even do triple weaving, but I think you would require skill speed or spell speed to pull that off. For example, I play as Frost Death Knight and had used Blood and Unholy while trying to figure out the difference between the 3.
To answer the question, Eleanor, you asked the question, new players won't use defensive cooldowns, veterans won't, so what's the difference? The difference is, how am I being prepared? Look, we have to define what is leveling in a game, right? If I'm going to be leveling in a game, what the fuck am I leveling? What is the purpose of leveling? The purpose of leveling is to prepare me for endgame, right? It's to get to endgame and to prepare me for the ultimate journey that I'm going to be going on, right? If I'm not being prepared, then there's no need for it. Right now, in World of Warcraft, you could absolutely remove the leveling experience and nothing would be lost. Because new players reaching max level would be as lost if they were at max level just instantly as they would be if they just leveled to max level normally. Because you're never asked to actually learn how to use your ability toolkit, your class toolkit. Where that should be part and parcel for what a game is. I should be forced to learn how to use my toolkits. If you don't use your ability toolkits, then what's the point of having those ability toolkits if you're only going to learn how to use those once you hit max level? And now you're dealing with a whole new slew of issues because now you have to figure out how to play your class. So what was this leveling experience for? If I only now learn how to play my class, then why the fuck did I go through all this problem? Shay, I can play FPS. A lot of FPS also use the technology of networking a lot better. Plus, you sort of, like I said, I have to learn. It's not like I can't play action combat games, right? I've played ESO for a long time, but it takes time because I have to learn where exactly do I aim on a moving target to ensure that I hit the moving target. So I sort of have to lead the moving target far more than what, say, a normal player with a normal MS would have to learn. Because I have to equate for bullet time, for example, plus server latency. So it's like it's extra. I have to lead even more, and then it's also very much dependent on the exact moment that I take the shot, because if there's any packet loss at that exact moment, obviously I miss because I wasn't leading enough according to the server. So it is finicky and it is hard, but almost every FPS, popular FPS at least, have local servers. So there I'm playing at like 10 ms, so it doesn't matter. I'm probably not going to play Deathloop, Elodie,
Blood is a tank spec and uses some defensive abilities to maintain itself in battle. Frost uses ice magic to deal damage in all types of ways, usually very heavily, and Unholy is the pet type, summoning minions to deal heavy off damage and using other abilities to power up and summon more minions while dealing dots and direct damage. Basically, this game's summoner. Now, the combat in World of Warcraft feels very
It's clear he did not play a Warlock. His Warlock would be more similar to this game's Summoner, but okay.
very good, and I will admit that. The animation doesn't blind me when I hit a button, so I will give WoW its credit for having solid combat. Yeah, nothing bad to say here at all. I will have to say this again, but I did not make it to endgame, so I have no PvP experience. I have observed PvP with other WoW content creators, but when I look at it, I will have to say that it just does not seem to fit me. I'm just not that kind of person to be into PvP when it comes to MMOs.
That's
not a real miss if all I wanted is the experience of playing WoW, but maybe someday I'll give it a try. I'd say
PvP isn't for everyone. I'm a veteran WoW player and I don't really care for PvP at all. PvP doesn't bother me one bit, one way or the other. So, you know, it is up to everyone. Garuda, how you doing? I don't think WoW PvP is for everyone. It's a whole different beast.
I should try it very soon since PvP is a big thing in WoW along with raiding. So for the WoW vets out there, I will now show my Discord so that you can see the opinion of one WoW vet who told me everything wrong in Shadowlands as it stands right now. This person had been playing World of Warcraft for a while and made it to endgame. So if you want to check it out, come to my Discord so you can all agree how WoW is becoming the worst thing ever. Also, please try to keep it civil in there. We're all about the chill times in my Discord, so try to keep y'all ignorant sides in check if you don't mind.
You literally showed your Discord in a video that WoW players will watch and you asked them to remain civil. This dude is such a little puppy to the World of Warcraft scene. Civil? Civil? In World of Warcraft? Bro. Lol. Like fucking lol. There's no civil. Civil discussion is when you don't call the guy cunt twice. That's what civil discussion is in World of Warcraft. Like, I'll only call you a cunt once. There's no such thing as fucking civil in World of Warcraft. What are you talking about, bro?
Overall, though, WoW is 17 years old now, so I can't expect it to be smooth like butter, as told by Chop Chop Master Onion all the time.
Smooth like butter. Move like butter. Caress your rubber.
And again, I have to remind you that this is coming from a new player's point of view, not from endgame, so I have to really emphasize this. I've learned that add-ons is not something to evade or fear, but to embrace. Because the community in the game itself embraces add-ons, I felt that not looking into it would have been a waste.
But Christ, do you have a lot of fucking add-ons. Why do you have Sexy Map with AlvUI? Like, for the love of fuck, bro. AlvUI already has the map. You don't need Sexy Map for that as well. Also, nameplates. AlvUI will have the nameplates for you. You're using the wrong nameplate one there. Mike's battle scrolling text. MSBT, I think that is what it is. Mike's battle scrolling text. You have mixed battle scrolling. Why? Final Fantasy has that. Not Final Fantasy. AlvUI already has that. Mass Final Fantasy, that's your fucking problem. Immersion, I don't use it, but it's all right. Dynamic Cam, again, not really something that you need to use. Weak Auras is fine. Glass doesn't need to be used. AlvUI is fine. You have a bunch of add-ons that is unnecessary. But anyways.
Though I do still prefer going vanilla when it comes to the game's standard functions, I will try to see if I can find more things to make playing WoW even more fun. I've also learned that World of Warcraft is just old. Honestly, they may want to start thinking about making a sequel to World of Warcraft. No offense.
So I think this is where we should maybe talk slightly. Not that I disagree with him. I think World of Warcraft is old and they could look into making a sequel, but if we're going to go off of looks, I would say World of Warcraft zones look far better, even the old ones, than Final Fantasy zones. So let's not start throwing stones here in our glass houses. World of Warcraft is old, sure, but Final Fantasy isn't fucking young either. It's not like Final Fantasy is sporting that new Unreal Engine 5 fucking graphics, right? I would say in this instance, I think it's sort of a personal thing. Maybe I don't really care for the graphics. I think the graphics in World of Warcraft is just fine.
It's a fun game, well, for me that is, since I'm still in the honeymoon phase, but a game with an engine that is getting up there in years right now may want to start seeing a successor. So, as a new player, I am not offended by the mechanics or the system. And again, if you want to talk to a WoW vet in my Discord, or the WoW vet in my Discord, you can, once again, join it, and you can talk to them, as this guy really did leave a wall of text explaining why Shadowlands.
I don't know who this guy is, but I will also say, let's not stop putting too much, sort of sense or meaning on the word WoW vet. I have met WoW veterans that are fucking morons. So, you know, not saying this guy's wrong. I have no idea. I didn't read his fucking post, but, you know.
And it just did not work.
The journey and conclusion, all right? For the Dark Lady. When you see Sylvanas, you have to say for the Dark Lady.
So this last section has been rewritten over and over again. It was totally different before the lawsuit between Active Blizz and the state of California in the United States came to light. In the last section, I was essentially in the honeymoon phase of WoW, and I left it at that because I wanted you to have my genuine feelings on the game from the perspective of a new player. The only thing I really did not like was the story's disconnecting plots. For a long time now, I thought the negativity surrounding World of Warcraft was probably because the dev team most likely was not motivated to make a good game, but to make a game that would try to keep players playing and sometimes push them into spending more money, basically wasting their time while penny pinching them. I had the notion that perhaps the devs were tired and have been doing this for way too long, and that the new player experience should blend in with the in-game experience.
That moment from Breach was just so fucking good, dude. When Ian gave that answer and Breach was just like, oh, for fuck's sake. This, by the way, if you ever want the moment that Breach probably decided he's about to quit World of Warcraft, I think this was that moment. Like, I think this was that moment. This was the moment that Breach went, yeah, I'm done. I am fucking done. I just died. I no longer want to do this.
Their time while penny pinching them. I had the notion that perhaps the devs were tired and have been doing this for way too long, and that the new player experience should blend in with the in-game experience so everyone was in the same pot. I had thought that the WoW refugees were just playing 14 as a means of rebellion against the company, time off away from the game, wanting to experience something new while spouting their disgust they accumulated over time with WoW, a way to
What the fuck? The video just crashed. I don't know if he made the video.
So apparently, I am the only one who may not yield much of a difficulty, but 60 and 70 is enough. I had the notion that perhaps the devs were tired and have been doing this for way too long, and that the new player experience should blend in with the in-game experience so everyone was in the same pot. I had thought that the WoW refugees were just playing 14 as a means of rebellion against the company, time off away from the game, wanting to experience something new while spouting their disgust they accumulated over time with WoW, a way to deflate while waiting for new content to come out. Content that took 8 months to come out, and from what I've heard, a regular thing coming from Blizzard, as long dry periods for content is not something new for WoW players. I had thought that the dev team really wanted to make something great, that someone higher was holding them back, because business is business when it comes to companies, but the truth is a lot worse than I thought. I had found out that Blizzard was no longer the game company it once was. Instead, it has become a company that makes games. From what I heard, some of the...
That is such a fucking awesome distinction, because it encapsulates exactly what I've said for so long is wrong with the AAA industry. Game companies today is indie companies. Indie or AAA companies are companies that make games. It's so fucking profound. Well done,
The developers and the team didn't even seem like they were inspired to make a game to break the mold of MMOs. They felt as though they were making a status quo game, something that a 9-to-5 worker would make so they could get the paycheck at the end of the week. Some of the leaders at Blizzard don't even seem like they want to understand how the game was good in the past and do not, or perhaps refuse to address any of the game's real issues, thinking that because it's WoW, that it'll always be okay and it will never fail. I felt, as a new player, that it catered to people who are new, like me, but without the grand knowledge of how MMOs are supposed to work. I've been playing MMOs for years, and for it to have Exile's Reach to teach what seems to be baby's first MMO is outright insulting to me. Like, I get why Exile's Reach exists, and I appreciate it being...
I must say, my experiences in Exile's Reach were not fun. Like, it felt like... It was very arbitrary, but also it didn't really teach you shit. You know, yeah, okay, you got a little bit of a rundown of what the game is all about, but if I'm honest, I don't think the experience in Exile's Reach was literally any different to just starting a new character in any of the starting zones. Because there they also taught you exactly what the game is all about. The only difference is you got into a dungeon faster in Exile's Reach. But beyond that, and it's not even a fucking real dungeon. So you really don't even get the experience of what World of Warcraft is actually supposed to be.
Here, but so many people thought I needed it for either game function know-how, which the game did an okay job teaching me before, or the butt-chunkus amount of experience that I could have obtained anywhere. Again, I'm in no rush to make it an endgame, and so many people have told me that that's where the game actually begins, which is a damn shame.
That is the problem. I think actually that's perhaps the perfect problem. That's the perfect way to explain this problem. It's that World of Warcraft makes their game for people to get to endgame. That's where Blizzard focuses. They focus all of their efforts on endgame. When in reality, the whole point of a game is the experience. An experience has to start at level 1. The journey. The way of getting there, right? That should start at level 1. Because that's where you build that commitment with your player that will turn them into a payer for years to come. The reason so many of us are finding it so hard to actually dive out of the game, right, and stop giving them money is because a lot of us had that experience with WoW, growing up with it, being in sort of enthralled into the game from day one. You were on that journey. I experienced Classic when it was Classic. I experienced TBC when it was TBC. I experienced Wrath when it was Wrath. So I went on this fucking journey from day one. So it's very hard for me to break away from this game because I remember all of those things. I have memories that are fond because I experienced all those things. And the challenge that every new MMO has is allowing new players to also form those memories. This is again where I think Final Fantasy is, wow, just miles ahead. Because as a new player in Final Fantasy, you will experience ARR exactly as ARR players experienced ARR. Well, not exactly. Quests have been redesigned and they have actually cut down a lot of quests, but you'll still experience what those players experienced. In Heavensward, you'll experience what people experienced when Heavensward was the only expansion. So you're taken on that journey and you're allowed to form that nostalgia from day one, which means that you're probably going to stick with the game for much longer than what people in WoW will stick with.
Cause I want to experience the history of World of Warcraft. I want to know its backstory. I want to know who are these people I'm fighting with and trying to save. I want to know what the world is like and why it ended up this way. I want to know about Azeroth and its creatures. I want to know about Jaina, Anduin, Thrall, Bane, Garrosh, and Illidan. I want to take my time with the story and level in a brisk pace.
This guy is making so many good points here. Because I will tell you guys this now. I challenge you to find any game with a better potential story than World of Warcraft. I fucking challenge you. You won't. The potential story of this game, if we go back to Classic and we play through all of Classic, the story of this game is in-fucking-sane. It's so big, so huge, so emotional. It's a shame that people don't get to experience it. It's a shame that people don't get to experience what this game has to offer. All of the incredible moments that this game has to offer. It's a shame to me that new players will never get to experience the Wrathgate. It's a shame to me that new players will never get to experience the first time we saw an old god and we took down Cthulhu. It's a shame to me that new players will never get to experience the first time you fought Illidan or the first time that you fought Arthas. It's a shame to me that people will never experience Yogg-Saron and his whispers about the future and the past of World of Warcraft. It's a shame to me that new players will never experience the Well of Eternity, Illidan, Malfurion, Tyrande, Sylvanas, the stories of the Blood Elves, the stories of the Forsaken. It's a shame that new players will dive into a game where the majority, 99% of the game, is dead to them. It just does not exist for them anymore. That's a shame. That's a fucking shame. Because those are the stories that's worth telling. Those are the... We're not even getting into the MoP stuff and all of the incredible stuff that you would experience if you actually played through MoP and you actually experienced what Mists of Pandaria brought to you. Legion, even to some extent BFA and the stories that BFA could have told. It is a fucking shame.
I want to see all the areas from the past expansions because it feels like it wants me to forget those. I want to know about the inner workings of the lore, the universe, and why my character exists. I just want to know the story. The best part about playing a fresh MMO is the discovery of all these different types of things. How to fight, how to craft, seeing the sights, and experiencing the story. For me, the story is the most important thing. I'm not here for just the raids and PvP content. I'm here to find out why Sylvanas is working with the jailer, why do the first one's relics only work for me, and why I'm supposed to be so important if every other character overshadows me in importance, especially since they were the ones kidnapped into the Shadowlands. But most of all, I'm playing World of Warcraft to see why so many players were leaving and what it was like for many of the refugees to play World of Warcraft in modern times. I'm not here to obtain the same feeling they got the first time they played WoW 10 or 15 years ago, because that will never happen. I'm also not here to make Final Fantasy XIV.
I want new players, Eleanor, to experience the incredible pussy that is Tyrande, where are you? Tyrande. I want them to experience that, and I want them to realize that Malfurion is basically a bitch. And before everyone goes, that wasn't him, oh my fucking god, that wasn't him.
Looks so much better in comparison. 14 has its issues, a ton in fact. Even the new player experience could be better in 14, and in a way it kind of has. Like how the main scenario quest for A Realm Reborn yields more experience.
Silvercoppin, did you just fall for the trap? Did you just fall for the trap? Alright. Just want to make sure that you know that you fell. That you failed this one.
And gear is easily obtain while you go through your journey to level 50. 14's new player experience for me was slow since I came from 1.0. I came from a 14 that had no expansion, no A Realm Reborn, and no clue as to why 11 was so popular. I say this because 14 1.0 took a lot from 11, and I know a lot of people play Final Fantasy 11. Just bringing that into modern times didn't cut it. I wanted to know WoW a bit better, and unfortunately, I did. I found the game real fun and enjoyed my time, but as a veteran MMO player, I easily saw the cracks it was trying to hide, and to be honest, if the narrative was much better connected without the obvious plot holes, I would be saying that WoW lives up to its legendary status. If I didn't learn about the system and how it's trying to keep new and elite players from leaving with its amazing raids and epic story, I would be saying that WoW is a pretty solid journey, but I can't. WoW suffers from trying to keep an agenda going for all players, retention, with the top 5% and bottom 5% being the only ones really enjoying what's going on here. I can say I understand why so many have left, and after hearing the stories as to how WoW is treating players within the game, being disrespectful to their time and treating people like numbers, the only reason why I never saw or felt any of this was because I was having too much fun with their smoke screens and illusions. But the wonder eventually fizzled out, and I soon found myself skipping story for progression and rushing to the next voiced cutscene with badly animated models. And that was only the WoW experience, my new player experience. As for the lawsuit that's underway, I can only speak of this.
Alright, I don't want to hear more covering of the lawsuit. We've covered that thing to fucking bits. I think if there's anything to take away from this, and I realize this has been an hour and 40 minutes experience for most of you, since yes, I pause a lot. But if there's anything to take away from this, and literally the only thing that I would take away from this, it's that World of Warcraft do not work for new players. The way WoW is set up is not friendly to new players. It gives them no reason to care or even love the game in any way, shape, or form. It works for a tiny minority of players, which would be the people that play MMOs only to do very specific things. So you get players who only care about PvP, people who only care about dungeons, or people who only care about raids. It works for them because they're gonna skip the story anyways, right? They're just gonna power through, beat as much fucking shit as they can so they can get to the end game and do the stuff that they want. But for a new player that doesn't know what to expect from the game, really, that's just getting in, they don't really know if they're in it for the story, or if they're in it for the long run, or if they're in it for the dungeons or the raids. There's no reason for them to keep playing WoW, because there's no reason given by the game for them to keep playing WoW. And I don't think that's me being unfair to Blizzard Entertainment. It's their failure, and they have to figure out how they're gonna fix it. Anyways, low but not even. He worked against them most of the time. I only care for PvP, but after Legion, they gated the PvP behind PvE. I have no reason to play, let alone make caster classes or joke compared to melee. I can't really speak on PvP. I know that PvPers aren't being treated correctly in World of Warcraft. Like, that I know for a fact. Extra Tarundo reference. What am I looking at here? Oh, yeah. This is actually perfect. This is actually perfect. And he's actually not Malfurion actually in the lore isn't a bitch. In the lore, Malfurion is a fucking monster, dude. Like, easily one of the most powerful characters in World of Warcraft. Like, in terms of just Azeroth, he most likely overpowers most characters, if not all characters in the lore. This dude is insane. I mean, the literal earth answers to him. So fighting him is quite fucking hard. and you would probably struggle to beat him in a fight. But Blizzard have turned him into... I don't know. Just it feels as if Blizzard turned him into something useless. Verplexa, I've never heard of fractals, but I think Blizzard needs to expand on a hell of a lot. Like, I think a lot of the game systems in World of Warcraft could do with a shit ton of expansion. Not least of which, for me personally, Torghast. Torghast needs to be expanded. It needs to be updated. It needs to be revamped, reworked, whatever the fuck they need to do. But it needs to be closer to something like the Palace of the Dead, right? At least in my opinion. I don't know where half of this shit comes from. I don't know what any of these... I don't follow the trains. Twitter just gives it to me. I don't think I've ever clicked on a single train in my life. How exactly does fractals work in Guild Wars 2 then? Ceasius. I mean, I don't know. At the end of the day, I wish I had the answers, but most importantly, I don't think it's as hard as people might think it is. I don't think it's impossible for Blizzard to fix the game. I think it's going to be a very big effort, but all of the answers to fixing the game is pretty much right in front of them. It's right there. They just have to go out and do it. They literally just have to go out and do it. I'm just trying to look now. What time is it? 6:30. I have to go get ready for gym. It's gym day again today. Can you guys fucking imagine my happiness? It's fixable, but would this team do it? Hard to say. I think the team can. They just have to get back to the place where they were actually in love with the game. And as I told you guys already, when was this? I think I told you yesterday. No, I told you during the Sunday Night Chill show. From my contacts within Blizzard, they're doing a lot. Like, they're actually now listening to developers. Developers are actually being listened to about the shit that they want to make and how to make things. It's no longer just the top brass sitting in a room and figuring out what the next expansion is going to be. They are actually trying to involve everyone in the expansion story. So, yeah, we could very easily soon find ourselves in a place where the game is great again. And I fucking hope that they will. Vanapir, I don't think hiring people from the player community is a good idea. What I do want to see is them actually setting up... can we get the timeout removed from Rotio? I can probably do it as well. Rotio, sorry about that. No links. No, what I would instead like to see is, the bot can sometimes think something is a link when you have a full stop in a weird place. They should make use of the player community far more. So I would love for them to set up a Discord where they invite all of the content creators onto that Discord, and run things by the content creators, not necessarily listen to the content creators. Either crap. Thank you for the prime stuff, dude. Really appreciate that. Welcome to the Fat Fuckers Club. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But listen to the feedback. When content creators tell you this thing doesn't work, talk to them. Invite them into a voice channel and ask them, okay, Explain to me why doesn't it work? And before people go, wait, why should content creators have that honor? It's less of an honor and more of a case that... So let's imagine Blizzard invited me into a Discord and they ran some of their ideas for the future expansion past me. I am going in there with things that I love, right? I'm going in there with things that my community love, and I'm going in there with things that my community hate. Because I spend time with my community. I know what you guys like and dislike. Whenever I say something on Twitch, I know beforehand who's going to like and who's going to hate it. Like, I know who's going to agree or disagree with the things that I'm about to say. Because I spend enough time with all of you that I know how you think about the game as well. So I could look at a feature and I could tell Ian, this feature for me is not good fun. Like, I wouldn't enjoy this feature, but I do know that there's quite a large chunk of my audience that would enjoy this feature if you did this, this, and this. Because I've heard them say that, right? I've heard my community speak about a feature similar to this and how they would want it set up. So I'd be able to, and I think that's why content creators is the best of both worlds. You can't have every player in the game basically giving feedback, but you could have the content creators speak on behalf of their player base. Because content creators overall know what their player base wants, or their viewer base wants, because they spend time with their viewers. Last year's Babby, how you doing? Water and oil. To me, I would love to see that from Blizzard. Just involving their content creators as well as their designers, their class guide developers, you know, the people that make class guides, the people that make raid guides, involving those people in the community more, I think might go a very long way at actually solving a lot of the WoW issues. Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna do it though. Amarix, I can see that. The problem with community elected reps, you could then at that point just use the content creators, because pretty much content creators were elected by the community. You're watching me because, well, you like watching me, right? And you sometimes agree with things that I say, sometimes you disagree with things that I say. So I think content creators at that point, but community elected would be hard, right? Because you'll almost definitely get these guys that get their friends together to elect them, even though they probably don't have a fucking clue. They don't even have to contract us, Truffle Shuffle. They just need to watch my videos. They just need to watch my videos. They need to watch Pyromancer's videos and realize, oh, wait, our story is shit. Let's take some... I'm not saying they should borrow my storytelling, but they can borrow parts of it. You know, and I wouldn't even be angry. I would fucking love that. Yeah, they probably won't, but, you know, a boy can dream, I suppose. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we again didn't get to the lore discussion that I wanted to fucking have. So tomorrow, first thing, lore. If I want to start watching a video, you fucking stop me and you say, ReAccolonn, we have lore to discuss. Right? You immediately stop me. Like, you spam chat and you go, no, ReAccolonn, we have lore to discuss. We can watch videos fucking later. We have lore to discuss. Clip it, actually, yeah. And just send me the fucking clip. Because I have to go to the gym again. I have to go. I can't stay. So tomorrow, first thing, lore discussion. Then we can do whatever the fuck else. But tomorrow, first thing, lore discussion. Right? And then other things. Then other fucking things. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank all of you for spending your afternoon, your morning, or your evening with me. It was crazy amounts of fun, as always. I appreciate all of you. I hope that you have a wonderful evening. Take care of yourselves. And as always, take care of each other. Be kind to each other. Be good to each other. And I will see all of you in the next one. Peace out, fam.